I'm Elder, and welcome to The Open Debate. This weekend I was lucky enough to have a conversation with Lukas from ShadowRunner Radio. We spoke about a series of different things, including Donald Trump and the alt-right, Black Lives Matter, violence from and against the police. If you'd like to hear the conversation, make sure you stick around. It's juicy.
Anyway, so you're up in Canada, right?
Yeah, I am in Ontario.
So that's East Coast.
Yeah,
ish.
It's like Central Ontario or Central Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, right in the middle.
So let's see, Ontario. There's Montreal. Like, which one's the official country capital?
Yeah, so Montreal is in Quebec, so that's another province, like right beside us. So Ontario has Ottawa, which is Canada's capital, but Toronto.
That's right.
Yeah, Toronto is our capital in Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you a Canadian native? Have you been there your whole life?
Yeah, I have. I grew up here in a pretty small town. It was alright growing up. Canada's a beautiful place if you like nature, if you like wildlife. It's a really big, open country.
Yeah, I personally have always liked Canada. You know, I'm a native here, born and raised here in Seattle, which is just a couple hours south of Vancouver. And I used to go up there on vacation, and me and my friends a few times went across the border because the drinking age is 19 in Canada. So
yeah,
21 here in Seattle. So we had a couple good vacations going up there, and I always think of Vancouver as like Canada's Seattle because they're so close together. And
yeah, Vancouver's a really cool city. I just moved back to Ontario from Vancouver Island, which is like right beside Vancouver. The city.
Oh yeah,
yeah, beautiful place.
I've been there too. Vancouver Island's amazing.
And so you often traveled across the border?
It's been a few years, but I traveled across on vacation. I actually, for a while, had a girlfriend on the Canadian side that we were kind of doing a experiment relationship with. It kind of worked for a while, but it was a little bit difficult going across the borders. But it was still fun.
Yeah, that would be a little hard. Pretty long. Like, it's not even just the long distance, it's the difference of having to go with the hassle of going between the borders and just being in the different countries and stuff. I don't know. It would be a little strange, yeah. It's a whole different situation. Never even thought of that.
Yeah, it just kind of came unexpectedly, but, you know, these things happen. So how long have you been what some people might consider quote-unquote red-pilled?
It's a good question. I think about this often because, like, I don't feel like anything. I do feel as though something's happened, but I feel as though I've always been the type of person that actively seeks out, like, information and looks into things, but I've just kind of put some things aside and just, like, taken them for granted and said, you know, what's going around is probably true, like I honestly, if this was in 2015, would not have been caught dead, like, going around the states, like, state to state. Like, I felt as though, as a black man, my life would be critically in danger, which is just not true. Like, from in fear of the police, right? Like, and that's just not true. That's, like, from fear created from the media. That's all it came from. Just, like, things on the news and things that I would see telling me that police were out to get black people in the States, and I was like, well, I'm not going there, not right now. Look at this, like, look what's going on. And yeah, but really when Donald Trump started running for president, I noticed, like, personally, like I've said it before, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. Just like as a person, I don't think that he's like the type of person that I would want representing me as an American citizen, if I was an American citizen. But that's not for me to decide. But the way that the media represented him was like absolutely ridiculous. Like, just out of context, attacking every little thing that just wasn't even worth attacking, and it's just like taking things out of context to the point where like it was almost like in a lot of cases, like outright lies. Like comparing, like it's not always like the mainstream media, but mainstream media outlets and certain things talking about like comparing this guy to Hitler. That is a complete that turns so many people off. It doesn't even make any sense. Like, and so like that started me looking more into like politics and that side of what you would consider being red pilled. But in the sense of like general life, I've always been like a very strange person, I guess you could say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can feel you on that one. In myself, from a pretty young age, I always had a problem with certain answers given to me when I asked questions of like teachers or parents, and sometimes I just seemed out of context, and there seemed like there was something more to be given, but they weren't saying it. And
oh yeah. No wrong question, right? Like, you can always learn more.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay.
And you're what? You're in your 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm 26.
Okay, so yeah, you're about a decade younger than me.
Yeah. Been around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, how did you start becoming more? I don't know. People use the word red pilled, but I would just call it politically aware of what's going on. Like, just being conscious. It's not like I don't necessarily prescribe to any like political party. I just am conscious of what's going on, and I'm not. I call it what I see. I'm not happy with certain things, and I like being able to voice my opinion. That's why we live in Western society.
Yeah, I agree. I was just using the term red pill as a sort of modern nomenclature since the Matrix movie, but I don't know, from a pretty young age, even going back even to my middle school years, and even a little bit before that, there were just certain explanations given. Like, I remember even being as young as grade school and watching PBS specials on TV, and they're talking about things like, oh, well, we don't know what causes cancer, but we have certain theories about it. I'm like, okay, so we supposedly sent some people to the moon, but you don't know what causes cancer? And even that young was like, that just seemed weird. Like, really? You can make a rocket ship that can go to another planet, but you don't know what causes cancer. And it's things like that kind of sort of triggered me to look more into things. And
yeah, I fully agree. Even just like the sense of where priorities are, and the reason like why you would go to the moon, and why you wouldn't understand what's going on with cancer and how to beat it.
Exactly. Like, I didn't have the vocabulary back then, but as I got older, as my vocabulary developed, I had more words to describe what was going on in my mind. I just didn't quite have the words at the time.
Oh yeah, no. That I can completely understand. I I don't know. Yeah, I when I was really young, I had a really bad stutter, and it just kind of went away. I still, I guess, do it from time to time, and I mumble quite a bit. But you know, speaking in front of people is often, it's very difficult for a lot of people, even just like speaking to like a perceived audience, so like on YouTube or like on a podcast, because I don't know, when you know that people are hearing what you have to say, you double check what you're saying a little bit more, but it really makes you think about what you have to say, I guess I could say.
Oh yeah, for sure. I used to have a bit of what they call stage fright back in the day, but then I got over that when I started playing music, and I just kind of forced myself to get over that. But yeah, I have personal experience with like anxiety and all that, and I think you mentioned something about that on one of your videos about having some issues with that a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, really bad. So I was always a really outgoing guy, like in high school and stuff. Like I was the type of dude that would get other people to go and talk to other people. Like I wouldn't say I was popular, because like the whole like popularity dynamic in high school was a lot different than you'd see in movies and stuff like around here. It was like everybody was just kind of friends, but I was never shy or anything like that, and I ended up going to college, and I partied a lot and whatnot, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just started getting super, super depressed and super, super anxious, like unbelievably anxious, and I ended up leaving and coming home, and you know, like just going through like the medical situations, and I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and you know, it was tough, but I just kind of throughout the years I have looked for little ways around, I don't know, those symptoms, I guess, because like the way that I look at it is like with anxiety, like with depression, medication can help some people. There's some natural things that really help. Your diet's a big thing. It's just a lifestyle thing for sure with the depression. But with anxiety,
oh yeah,
right? Like depression, there's a lot of factors with that, but a lot of it has to do, I think, with the way that you're living your life, and like the factors that are in play with just like your life at that moment, and like especially like right down to eating habits. But anxiety, I would say, isn't necessarily ever going to fully dissipate. It's never going to fully be gone, but you can work around it. You can work with it. Like you can understand, okay, yeah, sure, I feel anxious because of this. Like I understand this is the way I feel when I'm getting anxious, and that's why I'm acting this way, and just acknowledge that and overcome it. Like yeah, one good thing that was said to me was that anxiety is almost like a little kid within you that always just like acts out and does whatever it can to stop you from doing what you want to do. So like if you want to go out, you'll be like, oh well, I want to go out, but like I actually feel sick, you know, like I don't want to go out. But like you don't actually feel sick. You're just thinking of an excuse so that you don't have to go through with the thing that, you know, you obviously like subconsciously do want to do, or you wouldn't even be enacting on it in that way, like engaging in the thought of doing it. So I don't know.
Yep.
Just about acknowledging what's going on and working with it.
Yeah, like the general psychiatrist analysis of anxiety and depression is like anxiety is fear of the future, depression is dwelling on the past, and there's some veracity to that. And you know, I went through some anxiety, and 10 different times I was prescribed Xanax, but I actually, being kind of the biochemistry nerd as I was growing up, I actually looked into the potential side effects and then decided that maybe the potential side effects might not be as worth taking the pills. So I just forced myself to deal with it, and then I tried other techniques. Like I tried some like yoga, and then I discovered like qigong breathing. So that really helped push me further into the whole alternative natural medicine aspect of things.
Yeah, it's strange how like right down to your breathing techniques can alter the way that your mood is. Like just the tiniest things. Like it starts with little steps. You think that there's no step that's too small. You think that like, oh, how am I gonna start? Like, oh, this doesn't matter. But like, just do anything. Start with anything. It's honestly just about little steps, and then reward yourself for those little steps, and continue with your goals. And gradually, you'll get better, and gradually you'll feel more proud of yourself. And that's just the way it goes. You gotta each person's on their own journey, so you can't worry about like where somebody else is at. You're like, oh well, I should be way better than I am right now. But it's like, no, you're on your own journey, right? Like you do you.
Good, great point. Yeah, it's a little bit different for everybody, and fears down the road. I actually did try a small dose of Xanax a couple different times when I was having anxiety, and for me, like it made me feel like kind of like a zombie robot, but I felt like emotionless. But I don't know, it kind of reminded me of doing almost like doing a psychedelic, but a little bit different. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never taken Xanax. The prescription that I'm allergic to a lot of like pharmaceutical drugs, like and the prescription that I had taken or that was prescribed to me was some weird long name started with a T, but yeah, I don't know. It made me feel happy all the time, like really happy, but not the same happiness. Like since I've stopped taking that, I stopped taking that a long time ago, like in like 2014 or something. And since then, I've experienced real happiness. Like I still experience depression and stuff, and I work through it. I live my life. It's the way it is. But I've experienced like real bouts of happiness, like real times of joy and stuff, and the feeling is so much more intense and so much more real. It's just so much, it's so vivid. And the experience that I felt throughout the time I was taking the pharmaceutical drugs was is so foreign to the way that we should be feeling. It was just so forced and so forced.
Yeah,
it wasn't real.
Yeah,
it just wasn't real. And obviously, yeah, it didn't help with the anxiety. Still super anxious.
I mean, yeah, that's more or less after coming down from the high of Xanax, I just was like, that just kind of put like a sort of little blanket, pretentious facade blanket over the thing that wasn't really dealing with any actual problem per se. So I was just actually happy when I actually came down from the few times I tried that drug. And
yeah, that's a really good point. Like it isn't actually even dealing with the underlying problem. So you're not advancing at all. You're just staying in a dormant state. You're not progressing, and that's the main point. And that's the main one of the main points that I see of life is to continuously progress. And you're just staying dormant in this very serious condition that should be looked at and should be worked out and should be fixed. So like, yeah, it's just a temporary fix if you're in a very serious situation, but it's a last resort. It's a very last resort to go to pharmaceuticals to help prevent depression and stuff. It's a very complex issue.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, if you're in like some kind of emergency panic situation, I'm not saying don't take them at all.
Oh no,
but
yeah. Go ahead.
But I'd also advise, if you can find other ways once you get yourself stabilized, to maybe see what else is out there.
Yeah, that's even what I mean. Like if you're feeling really down, and like that's you've tried talking it out, and you've tried these methods, and like they haven't worked for you, then yeah, no, definitely try it. Definitely go for it. And especially if like it's like a very dire serious situation, go definitely take them. But eventually down the road, once you're feeling better, maybe consider not getting off of them right away, but just trying different things. Just education. Education's the best.
Oh, and that's a very good point. If you've been taking it for a long time, taper off, or talk to a doctor, whatever. Taper off. Don't just try to go cold turkey, because that can fuck your shit up, man. Do not try to go cold turkey without quote unquote a physician's advice, because
I don't even I'm not a big drug user. I don't do drugs. Like I said, pharmaceuticals just don't do well with me, so obviously synthetic drugs aren't going to do well with me either, so I'm just not a big fan. But I had an accident when I was younger, and my leg was all messed up, and I had to take it's like a oxycodone.
Oh yeah, the opioids, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm allergic to codeine, so I couldn't take like a whole bunch of different stuff. But anyways, I only took it for like 2 weeks, but by like, I don't know, a couple days in, I could feel, I was supposed to take 2 a day, and I could feel by a couple days in that like I actively like wanted to take them. It wasn't even like for the pain. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm ready to take these pills. And so I cut it back down to 1. So I only took like half of the prescription that was prescribed to me, and by the end I tapered down like they said to get off. And the last day, when I didn't have any pills, I've honestly never been in not worse pain, but like in a worse condition. Like I just like, it wasn't just the pain, it was like the mental state, it was everything. Like I just hated myself, I hated life, I hated just everything, and I was in pain, and I just, I wanted the pills, but I didn't even have it anymore. I was just like, and it was weird, because like it wasn't like I actively knew that I wanted the pills, because I'm not like a pill addict. Like that's like, I was taking them for the pain of the shit that was going on. And yeah, it was like a super weird feeling, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And yeah, that's the kind of shit you go through when you take these type of pills. And I'm sure it would be so much worse if you were taking them for years. Like I did it for 2 weeks, and I wanted to die. But I wanted to. Yeah, it was just terrible coming off of those.
Yeah. Speaking of those pills, that'd be a pretty good segue to describe how so many people, I know here in the United States, I'm guessing it's similar in Canada. There's a massive like heroin opioid addiction problem. Here in Seattle, it's really bad. I think it's pretty bad all around this country and Canada. And a lot of it starts from people getting put on opioid prescriptions for like a surgery or something, and then all of a sudden, yeah, they're hooked on it. I had those prescribed to me too, and even after taking them for like 4 days, I stopped and I was like done. But I felt what some junkies call crunchy. Like you feel minor withdrawals, but it's different from if you're doing it for a year. Then I've had friends who've been on heroin. I even have a friend going through rehab right now. She's trying to get off heroin. Those drugs are, man, dude.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the pill.
Junkies where you live.
The town that I live in is it's strange. It's like a really nice, like old person type of town. It's a small town, and but it has a very large underlined drug problem with like the pills and stuff were like somewhat of an issue. Nothing like what you see in the United States, but a big problem right now, and I think it is a problem in the United States, but a huge problem in Canada right now is fentanyl. Like fentanyl everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And the statistics for the people that are dying from using it are like absolutely off the charts, and it doesn't make any sense if you know that like the odds are that like you're probably going to have a bad experience doing this. Like if you do it for an extended period of time, then please don't do it. Don't do something like that. Like that's all. That's what I would say to the people that are doing it. But yeah, no. There's an underlined drug problem here as well. Like in the town that I am in. I know a friend of mine, his relative was caught selling fentanyl, like I'm talking about right now. And
yeah,
and that was like, it was like an absolutely like wild story that obviously like, because like that's going on right in the town here. I don't know, it's a pretty small town, so like that's like, hey, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah, and I'm not even trying to knock on anybody or anything like that. I'm just saying like I have a lot of personal experience with close friends that I've seen go through this, and a lot of them started just on prescription drugs, and then they got cut off from the prescription drugs and went straight to heroin. And yeah, fentanyl is another thing that's come to Seattle as well, and it's yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to knock on anybody for wanting to live their lives the way that they do live their lives, but I'm just trying to outline the fact that like doing synthetic drugs for extended periods of time, such as fentanyl, is bad for your health. And just like I said, education is the best. You know, as long as you're keeping yourself healthy, you're an adult, you can do whatever you want. That's the way I feel. I think that I think all drugs should definitely be legal. Like us as adults, we have the capability to experiment with any form of drug if we would like, as long as we keep it within a safe environment and we don't impede on anybody else's free will or rights or anything. Like as long as we don't harm anybody else and, you know, are responsible with what we do, then, you know, we're adults. Why are you telling me what I can do with my body? You know, wait, I don't have rights.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think if you're a grown consenting adult or whatever, a person of adult reasoning, and you want to do what you want, yeah, that's your choice. I don't think anybody should hold a gun to your head to tell you to live your life, as long as you're not violating the sovereignty of another human being. As long as you're like, you know, like the holy trinity of natural law: do not harm others, do not damage their property, do not engage in fraud. As long as you're not doing that, do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. My body, my right.
Exactly. But I just noticed that is that's just a big thing going on in Seattle right now, and our current mayor is basically holding a gun to the taxpayers' heads to extract a crap ton of money of us in the hundreds of millions to make heroin his haphazard way of trying to deal with the heroin problem. And
what's he doing? Is he like building like the safe like injection sites? Or
yeah, the safe injection sites. And I mean, if you want to shoot up whatever, that's your deal. But it's gonna really spend $200 million to.
You know, like it also helps with the city and stuff as well, man. Like fuck, when I was living in Victoria, like Jesus, you know, nothing against a lot of people, but like, did you hear about that whole situation when Tent City was going on?
Yeah. I know about the tent cities. I live kind of close to them here in Seattle, but like as far as like,
that's what I was gonna say because it was like all over the news and stuff. But for a while, there, so all the homeless people, because there's a lot of homeless people in Victoria, and whatever, they deal with it. It's part of life, and they realized that the land on the like courthouse lawn, it was like crown land, so like I guess it's like federal land, so like
the Queen's land,
yeah, so technically like we all can partake in activities on that land, and like no police officers can kick us off or whatever. Like as Canadian citizens, we can just go and camp out there, and you can't say no, because other land, they can come and be like, hey, you can't camp here, and we're like, oh, okay, can't camp. But so literally there was no courthouse lawn left. They just not every, but so many. Like I'm not joking. Like you can go and check out videos of this. Like there's videos online. Thousands, hundreds to thousands of homeless people set up what was deemed tent city, and it was just tents all over. They made the whole little city with like there was only one way in and one way out, and it was like it was wild. It was up for like I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months, and after a while like it got like really dangerous and stuff. Like I think like 2 people got stabbed and stuff inside, and like it was like come on now.
And this was Victoria?
Yeah, this was in Victoria.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. Eventually the city they converted, I think it was an old hospital, into a bunch of like apartments and like just like a little shelter to house all the people. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of them would not go because they had to be in at certain times, and they were not allowed to do drugs within the building. Those were 2 of like the main points. So there were other factors, but the main reason, because I'll tell you, because I talked to them a lot, because I worked at a dispensary, a medical dispensary out there, and a lot of them would come in, a lot of them were customers, and the whole thing was that they just did not want the restrictions of being in a shelter and having people like over them and stuff. And it's like, well, listen, like if you want to get your life back together, it's gonna take, just in general, like if you're gonna be homeless and you're gonna be getting handouts and stuff, like I understand that, like there's certain things that come with that, and restrictions. It sucks. Like you're an adult and you shouldn't have somebody tell you that you need to be in by 12, but that's the way it is right now. If you want to live in this place for free and get these benefits, then this is what you got to go through for like the next 6 months or whatever you got to do to get back on your feet. Just suck it up and do it.
Oh yeah. If you're like someone that's on the streets doing drugs, and you just part of your soul just realizes like, dude, I'm fucked up. I want to get off of this. Then there's nothing wrong with like kind of succumbing to someone, kind of being like a temporary parent or whatever you will, while you get over your stuff and get over your especially a hardcore drug like the opioids, like your withdrawals and then detox and then getting over that. If you want to go over that, then there's that's fine. Then you're voluntarily having someone like help you out, but at the same time, if you know you have a problem, then just let them help you.
Yeah, but it's not even just if you have like a drug problem. If you're just if it's me right now and I have no way of paying the bills and I end up on the streets and I have to go to a homeless shelter, right? And it's like, I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a alcoholic. I like whatever, like, and I would have to understand that I would have to follow the guidelines of that shelter, which would mean even like I smoke, I'll say it, and I wouldn't be able to smoke in the building, or during the time that I stayed there. If I had to I'm sorry. If I had to be in before 11 or at 11 or whatever, like at an early time, 8 o'clock, whatever, that's what I would have to do to get back on my feet. That's just life. Like, sometimes you're in a shitty situation and you just need to suck it up. Life isn't fucking fair.
No, and that's fine. Like, if private organizations, or say like a private church or private drug organization has these stipulations, like, if you want to get your shit back together, then yeah, that good. You have to, like, all right, you can't bring drugs in here. You can't fucking bring booze back in here. You can't do all this stuff. Good. I mean, yeah, that's like, I think that's as an alternative to government solutions. I think like private organizations or private churches, like this country and like throughout Western civilization has done for a long time. It's like, okay, you can come stay in our church hospital, or church drug rehab in recent history, but you can't not bring booze here or drugs, and you have to be here by this time. Good. You're getting a free place to stay, free meals, free people to counsel you. Yeah, that's fair enough, man.
Yeah. I agree with that as well. The thing about Canada here is that, like, yeah, we do have a lot of government funded programs to help with low income and just people that are in need. And I do agree with that. Like, if we're like a first world nation, if our citizens that are worst off aren't doing well, then we're doing something wrong. Like, if we have the luxury to be buying iPhones and sitting on computers and chatting here, like, all the way across the country.
That's a great point. Yeah. And that inspires me to ask you maybe a question of, like, okay, the idea, like, just an idea to throw around of, like, ideas of how government should be run broadly in general, like, okay, like, hardcore socialism versus maybe something more libertarian, like supposedly the United States was for its first 100 years, where people could voluntarily donate to a church, or do you force people
no, don't ever force somebody to donate to the church. Like, that's wild. That would be wild. Sorry, is that what you were going to say?
No, like, to the government. Like, I live here in Seattle. Like, people here are, like, very socialist. They're and in fact, there are people here very much hardcore what you might call Marxists. Like, they worship Karl Marx is like a huge deity in the city. Like,
I just recently no, I'm sorry. I just recently got into politics. And now, okay, yeah, sorry, it just caught me off guard because I just recently got into politics, so I'm not like, I don't identify with anything, and it's a little bit different here in Canada because, like, we don't have just like two straight, like, main political parties, I guess. So, like,
right,
yeah. So, like, it's not as divided, and especially, like, people don't. I've never once ever gone into somebody's house. I don't have a clue what type of political affiliation anybody has. Not one person. I don't know anybody's political affiliation. It's not something that we bring up or is like a big deal in our lives. Like, so, like, I've never been, like, exposed to it too much. But you were talking about Karl Marx. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I was bringing that up as here in Seattle, like, it's a very Seattle's what you might call, if you're familiar with United States politics.
I do understand the terms, though. Like, I've been getting into it for, like, the last, like, year.
Okay, yeah. So I'm in a blue city, blue being Democrats, red versus Republican. I personally do not affiliate myself with either Republican or Democratic Party, but Seattle's very has much of an affinity. They like the idea of socialism / communism / Marxism, and it can get kind of awkward talking to people here when everyone thinks, like, they think when socialism, without knowing much about it, could just be the greatest thing ever. It's like, do you know what that entails? Do you know what the full impact of that would be if, like, to have a full socialist government that requires hiring people with guns to hold them to your head to extract money from you to redistribute it. I mean, and you're fine with that?
Yeah, but like, yeah, and like, what happens if, like, say, like, I just don't want to contribute as much as my neighbor?
Exactly.
Well, that's obviously like what I do. If I'm just gonna get the same amount and just live the same life, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna chill out while he works.
And that's another thing. And here's the thing, like, and I'm sure you know about the stories from, like, Evergreen, the Antifa, the anarchists. So the people that call themselves Antifa, they wear the Soviet flag, the hammer and sickle masks around their face. And this is really, really insane because, Seattle's a very left-wing, kill the Nazis kind of city. But it's funny because, like, that Soviet flag represents something just as fascist, if not more than the swastika. Yeah, it's perfectly okay to walk around University of Washington campus, which I live right next to. Yet no one says anything about that. But if you saw someone walking around with a swastika, they'd probably get jumped. Fine, but why is the hammer and sickle Soviet flag okay, which is just as fascist, and even more people died under the Soviet experiment than the Nazi experiment? Yet that's like,
yeah. It's almost like it's a blatant ignorance, and it's a blatant ignorance from both the mainstream media and the people that are supporting it. The media is being ignorant by choosing not to acknowledge the danger in these people supporting this ideology, and then the ignorance within these groups is the fact that they don't actually fully understand their own ideology.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the latter part of that. I think, like, a lot of these people in the Antifa and with these people that call themselves anarchists, and I put both of those in quotations because the people that call themselves Antifa, which is supposed to be short for anti-fascist, are actually being fascist. And the basic definition of the word of not being able to have a dissenting opinion is one of the key core definitions of the definition of fascism. Yet they're calling themselves Antifa. And then the anarchists are calling, which means without a really archon or governor, are actually being authoritarian. So there's this, like, kind of Orwellian double speak among these groups that go out calling themselves these things, but they're being the opposite. And it reminds me so much of 1984. It just blows my mind that these people, I guarantee you 99% of people that call themselves the Antifa never read the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, which he was in the Gulag. And I guarantee you most people in the Antifa never read that book.
I'm not sure, like, what kept me away from these types of ideologies, because, like, it makes sense that I would have fallen into this, like, just even like a year ago, like, it was literally right around the time of, like, Donald Trump's election. Like, the whole thing was that, like, this is what I'm saying, right? Like, things are being filmed live, so, like, you can see what's going on. I can see if Donald Trump said something stupid or racist at the rally. It's being filmed not only by the media outlets, but by people and stuff as well, being uploaded on YouTube and stuff. I can go and check it out. I can see for myself. So when you're telling me that this guy is, like, a racist, bigoted, homophobic, just moron, yeah, he's a moron, but none of the other things that you're throwing out there, and, like, those are serious accusations. Well, they were until recently. Now they don't mean anything.
And that's a really good point. Like, I personally did not vote for anybody. One
of those guys.
Well, okay, so I just kind of got a bit what you might call disillusioned since, like, the first time I could vote I was 19. That was, like, Bush versus Gore. I'm like, those are my choices. That sucks.
Yeah.
And then it was like, 8 years of Bush, and I talked shit about him the whole time, and I was in agreement with all the people here in Seattle. I was like, yeah, fuck Bush. War sucks. And then, and then we had the anti-war protesters standing around this place in Seattle called Green Lake. And as soon as Obama got elected, they disappeared, but they were still at war. I'm like, whoa, we're still at war. Where'd the protesters go? Oh, what? Okay, so now it's okay if Obama goes to war? What the fuck? And like, this is where I got really disillusioned with like the whole left. Like, whoa. He's starting new wars. Where the fuck are the anti-war protesters now in Seattle? Oh, okay. It's only bad if the Republicans do it. When the Democrats go to war, okay, that's fine. What? All right. It was kind of one of those things. And then, all right, okay, jumping back to now with Donald Trump, it's just like, I didn't vote for him because I just assumed he would be a complete other sellout, just like every president I've seen in my entire life.
That's understandable.
Yep. So, I mean, here's a couple weird things. Like his first week in office, I will say, I was pleasantly surprised that he executive ordered got rid of the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership thing.
Yeah.
That could be a big ruse. I still don't trust any president, but I was like on a superfluous level, like, holy crap, did he actually keep a campaign promise in the first week? That kind of like, it blew my mind. I was like, whoa. I just assumed he would sell out and be another douchebag like George W. Bush. So, like, I'm not sure. I think it's a very healthy thing to never trust the government in general, no matter who is running it. But I would just say, not to overly defend Trump, I was mind blown that he actually signed that off. I thought he would just go along with it. That kind of like it was like out of left field for me. So I still don't trust any of these presidents, but damn, that was like, what? Really?
Yeah, like being able to trust the government at the level that like it's like in the United States, it's absolutely phenomenal compared to here in Canada. Like the amount of people in the United States, and so like, Trudeau. I'm Canadian, so I don't know how much I can say without.
Oh, that's right.
Without being impeached or not impeached, but just without being prosecuted for hate speech laws. In some cases though, honestly, but no, like I can obviously criticize Trudeau, and I obviously I don't like the guy, and he does stupid things like give a ridiculous sum of money to the Clinton Foundation, but he also, like, Canada's not like it's a big country, but the population isn't very large, and so like he can still do things like visit each major town hall across Canada, and so like he just did that, like, I don't know, a few months back, and like I could have just went, and if this was now, if that was now, I could have just gone there. I could just go there and be like, hey, what's the deal with this? And it's Trudeau, so he wouldn't answer, or he would dance around the question like an idiot. But it just shows the Canadian people that like this is what happens when you don't put effort into who you elect and let a puppet run your country.
Yeah, I mean that's sounds about par for the course for, well, most countries across the globe, but
so I was just gonna say, like, that just you asked me like what my views really were like on government and stuff, and I was just gonna say, like, like I mainly would say, like, ideally it would be good if there were smaller local governments that had like jurisdiction, basically like there are, but they just had the majority of the power, so each community had their own basic rules and guidelines. But it basically the same as as it is now, but like with like the amount of power reversed. Like I think that the power should just be more in the local community, and then have like a larger oversight to make sure that like the country as a whole, or like that whole area, has the same basic moral values that like. So it's like you can't have one little subsect that's like, you steal stuff, I'm gonna cut off your hands. And the other ones,
right.
2 kilometers down the road, they're like, no, we're not okay with that. It's like, no, we're not okay with that in the entire country. But, you steal something in this little area, and you're gonna go to jail for 3 months. And you steal something in this area, you're gonna go to jail for 1.5 years. Like, that's just the way it goes. You shouldn't have stole something in that county. Those are their rules.
That's pretty much how I generally look at it too. Like I have some love for what you might call anarchy. However, I do recognize that we do live in a
It'll never work. It'll never happen. No. I always wanted. I liked punk and stuff growing up. I was always like a little hardcore kid, and I was like, yeah, fucking anarchy, man. That would be great.
No.
Fuck everything, yeah, man. Just like no government at all. It's like it just you know how fucked that would be.
No. Like what I'm saying is like, okay, I'm gonna say 2 things. One thing, by anarchy, I mean anarchy does not mean no rules. It just means no.
Well, who's forming the rules? Who's governing those rules? Who's telling me that I have to follow these rules?
Okay, but then 2, I do recognize that we do live in a modern nuclear era, so we have to have some sort of governance and people to deal with these issues. So like I'm not a complete anarchist at all, because I recognize that we have some serious problems that we can't just walk away from. Otherwise, the planet will just die and be irradiated.
Well, that too, but like there's just nothing stopping me from doing whatever the fuck I want. There really isn't if like there's no formal, they're like in reality there is nothing stopping me from doing whatever I want. There are repercussions now that will fall into play, and that's what stops you from not doing them. But like if that thought, it's just that thought. It's like, look at what happened in Venezuela as soon as the police were gone. It's just that thought, that sense of security. And until that happened, I was like honestly in favor of like having super minimal police. And I'm still down for minimal police, and I'm not up for like a police state or like martial law or anything like that. But a police presence and like community safety is definitely needed, because the minute people know that there are going to be the reason that like if I come to your house and I break into your house and I accidentally break your leg, the reason that when your leg heals up you don't come back and seriously injure me, if not kill me, is because you know that if you do, there's going to be an active team of people that okay, sorry, I'll rephrase this. When I go to your house and break into your house and break
my house,
yeah, when I break into your house, right, and I break your leg, I good luck
with that.
Sorry.
But yeah, okay,
yeah, I know already, right? Yeah, I kind of fucked this up, but like I know that the police are going to be like an active unit out looking for me, like outside of you. So like you don't even need to come back and beat me up or kill me or anything like that, because there's an outside source that has a duty to come and give me repercussions for doing that to you. So like without that, you are the source of repercussion. So like with anarchy, fuck anarchy, just like without the police, like without that sense of security, there's the repercussion rate goes up. People are they're vindictive people. They'll come back and they'll fuck you up if you ever fuck with them crossing the wrong way. Road rage is a bad thing. Like, think about that. Like, road rage, the reason people don't like completely run people off the road is because they know that if they do, the police will come after them. Really deep down, like, people are animalistic.
That's as some people are, and okay, we all are. Every single person has those moments in their life. I believe most people in general, most of the time when it comes down to it, are probably going to be decent human beings. We all have our moments where, like, dude, I totally want to punch that fucker in the face. I get that. That's normal. You're pissed off. That's just a normal human emotion. But I think you don't necessarily. Okay, so
even a serial killer will be a nice guy here and there.
oh well.
Well, no,
yeah.
like even a serial killer will show like positive traits.
Okay,
right?
yeah. When a serial killer or a psychopath in particular, knows that there's legal ramifications, that's different. But I think a normal, healthy human being genuinely wants to help, in general, other people, just like how a mother or father wants to raise their children to be productive members of society and not kill their own children.
You know,
I mean,
I've often thought about this, and like, it's the same argument that atheists make when they say, like, you know, like, why can't people just disband religion and just, like, you know, throw it away or whatever? But it's like, you and I are moral individuals. We have these base set of values, and maybe you don't need a religion to help guide you in that way. And like, maybe you and I just like do generally not want to, you know, beat people up and take their stuff because that's easier than just negotiating a trade. But not everybody's actually like that. Like, some people in deep down need guidance in some way, and with the religion part, with the atheist thing, like, some people just want religion, but also some people need, like, without that base set of like of values, they wouldn't actually have their own. Like, some people do need that, and like, not everybody's like that. There's a very minuscule amount of people, but there are still some people out there like that, and those are the people that you need to look out for, and that would be the main worry in that new type of society, like that anarchist society.
Oh yeah. I wasn't trying to outright promote hardcore anarchism.
Yeah, no, I know. I just got into the idea of anarchy, and you know,
I was actually about to segue into like what you said about, like, I guess what you might call minarchism, as an MIN, as a minimal, like, you keep things on local. So these people that live in a local community, like you were saying, that you handle it in this way, and then this community handles it that way. Okay, so maybe these like hardcore Baptist Christians in the South want to have like no drinking on Sunday, but maybe these other people, like, okay, we don't care about not having a drinking law up here in the North, West, or something like that. You know, yeah, just keep local power to the local people, and keep the federal powers from whatever country you are to a minimum. Stop trying to like blanket the whole thing on top of the whole people, because people are different. Yeah, I'm not saying it's like, oh, anarchy, let's go spray paint shit and burn down buildings.
Yeah, but keeping the baseline of what you would consider Western values, right? So like,
oh yeah,
even though it's a strict fundamentalist Christian state or like area, no matter what their views are on like, say, gay marriage or gay rights in general, like, not gay rights, but like just gays in general, like, they can teach what they want, but they still need to respect the baseline of things like, you know, gay people have equal rights to anybody else. Like, it's basic human rights for any individual, no matter what the situation, no matter any human being.
Exactly.
You know, the freedom to express yourself, the freedom to see, and that's where it gets a little different, right? The freedom to like express like religion and stuff.
So yeah, like gay people should be able to have the right to express, like, I want to be gay, just like Christians, as long as not, or hardcore Christians, as long as they're not hurting anybody, they can express the right. Oh, well, I think gay marriage is evil, whatever. As long as they're not hurting you, they have the right to say that. But the gay people have the right to do their thing too. So as long as you're not violating the sovereignty of any other human being, you should be able to say whatever the hell you want. Yeah,
this is where it gets like really, really touchy though, right? Because it's like, gay people have the gay, in mind, it doesn't matter whether you're gay, straight, anything, blah, blah, blah. So like, the gay people have the right to be a part of that state, because if everybody was in that state was part of that religion, and they said that you couldn't be you see, that's the whole thing, right? You can't change their religion to follow the state rules. So like they either, so that's basically, it would just each, like that's what I'm into. Like each individual case needs to be looked at and analyzed on its own. So like in that sense, it would be more so like to become a member of that state or like that area, they couldn't say that you had to be a member of this faith, because to be a member of that faith you couldn't be gay. So like you could still be a member of that community and be gay, but just not be a part of that religion that they're a part of. But they would still have to accept you, and hopefully like we just move towards a society that does like accept everybody. And it's like, you know, like that's the whole thing. Like if you can't be gay to be in this religion, then that's the whole thing. Like, you know, come and you can still hang out and you can still listen to what's going on, you can still learn and educate yourself, but just understand that like that's part of the religion. You could claim you're part of the religion, but it's just not going to be truthful to yourself or the religion. So like whatever you want, and you know, we make certain choices. And you know, and also I'm not saying it's a choice, but I'm saying it's a choice to join the religion.
Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to like government decisions, like, you know, like for about the first 100 years of the United States, from 1776 to about 1868, we were pretty what you might call libertarian anarcho-capitalist. Like we had very few restrictions on industry and business, and you could pretty much do whatever you want. As far as like religion and all that stuff goes, that was separated from the government. Like that's your private life thing. Don't get involved with the government. After 1868, that's when the 14th Amendment happened, and that's when we started all becoming corporate property. And then we started moving towards more socialist state. I'll save this for another time, because this will go into a whole other history of the United States thing. But basically, yeah, I think people should be able to do whatever the hell they want, and religion should be a separate, private thing that you do that with your own life. And I say the same thing with marriage of any kind. The government should have anything to do with that. That's your private life. Fuck the government with that. The government should be kept very minimal to just basic whatever they need to do. Keep that to a minimum. And as far as your private life goes, or anyone's private life goes, they should stay the fuck out of it.
Yeah, it's a very complicated situation, but yeah, they should be kept to a minimum in the federal government.
Yeah, that was the main point I was trying to make with that last thing. I mean, yeah, I could probably give a whole nother lecture on U.S. history. I bet you could probably give a lecture on Canadian history.
Yeah, a bit. We learned, school here is super, super strange. Like, we learned a lot of American history in high school, and Canadian history was like a specific class that you needed to take. Like, you didn't need to take it, but you were able to take it. It was just an elective. Like, I find that pretty ridiculous that we would just be learning American history in high school, you know, in regular history class, but an elective.
So do they make Canadians memorize the different names of the states in the United States?
No, because that was a separate class in geography. We would do the provinces and stuff, but
so you guys only have to memorize 8. We have to memorize 50.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. I wouldn't. Yeah, that would not be for me. I'm not the best at memorization.
Yeah, well, like in geography, you guys had it easy. We had to memorize 50 states and 50 capitals and a bunch of other things. 8 provinces.
How was?
Was there 8?
Honestly, I don't even actually know. I'd have to look at it. Look at the map. I was so bad in geography. It was like we only had to take it in grade 9, and I was, you know, I was never a fan. That's one thing that's completely changed as well. I was never a big fan of education. Throughout high school and throughout public school, I was always like, not like a shit disturber, but I would just talk to people and, you know, just goof off in class and not just do anything other than work. And then in high school I skipped a lot because I could go anywhere. There's a beach like right by my high school.
Dude, fair enough, like, dude. Public school sucks, dude. I'm just saying, like, I personally did really good in it because it was just easy, and like the better I did in school, my dad just, as long as I got straight A's, my dad just let me do whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah.
So, actually, I did want to ask you one thing. Like, what do you think about crap, what was I gonna ask you about? Oh yeah, the Patreon, dismembering people from Patreon. Like, they're not for everybody. Like Lauren Southern, I'm not like a personal fan, or like the.
I like Lauren Southern. I really like Lauren Southern, but you know, you don't have to. Didn't they also delete like the, I don't know, some other dude that she was working with on that Defend Europe trip?
Yeah, there was like the whole Defend Europe thing, and then there was also this other lady, Wife with a Purpose, Wife with a Purpose. I think her channel is pretty benign. She's just like a woman that's like, hey, it's being a stay-at-home mom's fun, and then she gets her whole channel, her funding cut, or her like thing cut from Patreon. Like, I just want to know what your take is on with Patreon and all that.
Did you have any more information with like the second one, the housewife? Did she explain like why they deleted her Patreon?
Well, she has, I think, a particular conspiracy theory, or a theory, if you will, that she was being used as a test case to see how people would react to it. But like she wasn't like being hardcore like white nationalist or anything like that. She was just like a stay-at-home mom that happened to be white, happened to be not hardcore like against.
She's like a commentator though. She gives her opinion on like political positions and just different things that are going on in society, as well as she's just like, hey, I'm a stay-at-home mom and this is what I think of things.
Yeah, basically, and it isn't like she's like, oh, let's go hang all the black people or anything like that. She's just like, a single stay-at-home, or not single, but like a married stay-at-home mom that has been conflated, obviously, from what I can tell, with what some people might call the racist aspect of the alt-right, and they just shut down her Patreon. And all she was doing is like, hey, if you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, here's some ideas.
She's been called out as an alt-right advocator?
Of course.
Like, whoa. By what? Like, okay, yeah, okay. Well, you know, like, that's the whole thing. Like, and like, who's taking whose word seriously? Like, right? Like, that's the problem. So that's a problem. But yeah, so I don't know too much about that second woman there, but with Lauren Southern and that whole like Defend Europe situation, just from like what I've seen looking into it, you know, I don't agree with Patreon especially deleting her entire account and or anybody else's account based on the fact that like they say that they're misusing funds, or like they don't like basically like the way that the funds are being used, and that it's directly going to affect lives, whether that be hers or somebody else's. That's not really the point. You know, if it was confirmed that like something, it was being contributed towards something that was like actually dangerous, maybe I could see cutting the funds to that project, or cutting her funds in general, but like freezing them, but not canceling the account and not being able to dispute it, all this whole situation. But as well, it's a private company. They can do what they want, but I don't agree with it. They can, you know, like that's one of the things that we do when we use these websites for free all over the internet. It's like we give them consent to basically do what they want. Like they could change their contracts at any time, send you a little notification, you're probably just gonna click OK, accept, yeah, sure, I want to keep using my YouTube, okay, yeah, sure, I want to keep using my Skype, and you just keep going on. And now, you know, just cancel you at any time, like sheep, and that's the whole thing. Like I was listening to somebody say, they were saying like, yeah, it's just, she's brought people to the website, lots of people that now, if they want to support her, they have to go through the process of registering through another site and being able to contribute. Or, you know, they're already on Patreon, may as well just help out somebody else, like stay on the website. So like it's still bringing lots of traffic towards that site. So like I don't know, it's all up in the air. I don't agree with it, but they can do what they want because that's the right of a private company. And that's also like, that's part of the other debate. That's part of like the political debate. It's like, do you want private companies not to be able to have the right to make decisions like that? Like, oh, and that's the whole thing. Like if we know that it's a completely biased company, then we're just gonna have to stop using it in general as consumers. So that's what you do in the free market.
And actually, yeah, fair enough. That's something I actually meditated on. I actually made a video about a week or so ago about boycotting Patreon, but I still have it up. I've been thinking about it, that I might make a secondary video to this. Like, keep it up, but if possible, I would encourage anybody on YouTube, especially prominent people like Jordan Peterson and other people that have a lot of followers, that would just, like, at the drop of a hat, do things like switch to another thing. Like,
oh yeah,
look,
yeah. You know, like
look to alternative crowdfunding whatever sites, and like try to make that more of a mainstream thing. Like, if I keep your Patreon for now, that's fine. But if possible, try to move things toward alternative sources. And like, if Jordan Peterson did it, oh my god, dude, that would create such a ripple. I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, no, honestly, like, what do you think about JP?
Man, dude, that guy, he kind of came out of nowhere, and I think he's a badass dude. To be honest, I think that guy, he has, that takes a lot of balls to like say what he says, especially being a professor. Like, he could have just had his whole career shut down, but man, people have been getting sick of this like kind of politically correct nonsense of just.
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Oh no, go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, he's such a brave character, and I know. Sorry, I'm sitting here. I really respect the man for sure.
Oh yeah.
For him to, he shows such common sense. So like when he came out and said it, like, yes, it shows such bravery, but he was in the right, and he knew he was in the right, and so. The fact that the backlash, and it's the same situation with Evergreen. It's like, what is happening? What is going on? What's in the mindset of these people? And it's like,
Evergreen. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, what's going on in the mindset of these people? Just have a conversation. Like, sit down and calmly set aside, like, yes, this topic makes you upset. You want this. In the grand scheme of things, right? But maybe not even...
Oh my god, yes, exactly.
Like,
yes.
Maybe not this particular situation between you and him, but just in general, what happens or what could happen? Like, just let's talk it out, right? Like, the perfect... Like listen, like, his whole argument is based on the fact that, like, you don't owe anybody that you don't have a formal connection with any more of a courtesy or any more of, like, energy from your daily life than you'd give any other person. Like, you owe them the basic human rights, and it's like, it sounds rude, but it's a very basic thing. Like, it goes down to like the root of who people are. It's like, listen. If I have this argument with like a lady, and it's not an argument because I like debating with people, and it's not an argument because I'm not.
Yeah.
In the end, if you're getting heated or something, I'm just gonna say, like, listen, calm down. I love you as a person, and I don't actually I don't care about this topic. Like I always say, when we're finished talking, it's not gonna change the political spectrum or anything. We're still going to be in the same position, right? Doesn't matter if you change your mind or I change my mind. The world's not going to be changed after we're done, so just leave it. But yeah, you if I'm walking into a store and there's an old lady behind me and I hold the door for her and she walks in, right? that's a courtesy to that person. Even though she's an old lady, yeah, it's a nice thing to do, but it's still a courtesy to that person. If I walk up and I open the door and I turn around and that lady is a couple steps behind me and I'm going to have to wait there a few minutes and I don't hold the door for her, sure, maybe rude. It's rude. It's not a good characteristic. So, yeah, maybe you should have held the door. But you don't owe that person that courtesy. That's you going out of your way. And it's the same situation with when you address people that you don't have a formal connection with, to somebody that you see on the street, and they want you to refer to them as something other than what they appear to be, just from the broad spectrum. How we address people is what they're being, what they perceive, or what their perception of what they are at that given time. Then that's going out of your way to... You're just going out of your way to show them a courtesy that is above and beyond. Which, yes, you should just be nice. Like I said, you should just be good. It's the same situation. You're just being rude. You're just being rude. Yes, you should just do it. But you don't have to do it. And that's the whole problem that he was addressing, is the fact that this bill, Bill C-16.
Yeah, exactly.
It's forcing. I believe it's forcing. It's more for businesses, so it's not just if I misgender you, right? But it's if you go to work, yeah. But that's a serious problem. If I go to work and I'm in a construction yard and my boss calling me Nancy, it's that shit happens. Fucking suck it up. But if my boss calls me Nancy and I tell him I don't want to be called Nancy and he does it 3 more times, yo, buddy, I swear it's a minimum $15,000 I don't know, it's something ridiculous though. It's just, either way, it's not taking speech away, it's forcing speech upon people, which is just exactly. As bad.
Oh yeah. It's one thing, which is still fucked up, to limit someone's freedom of speech. It's another thing to force someone to try to say something now you have to say this. What? I don't know about this. We're talking. There's 51 genders now? Jesus Christ. How am I... Okay. What if you don't have, the cerebral capacity to even fathom that? What, you're gonna, throw them in a fucking gulag? Seriously, what if someone doesn't have the cerebral capacity to do that?
Some people don't. But, think about this. 51 genders, 61 genders, 39 genders, yet here in Canada as well, a genderless baby was born.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have all these genders and you can also be genderless. You could be anything, man. It's anything the mind desires. You can create.
Oh, it's a magical world like Tron or something. I don't know.
That's the whole thing. It's because they've changed the definition. It's not changed the definition, but just split it apart so that we're actually changing what we're talking about when we discuss biological sex and gender. So you're not going to go around, it's why? Because people are awkward around the word sex. So you don't go to people and be hey, what's your sex, right? What sex are you? Because that's what we fucking want to know when I'm saying what goddamn fucking gender are you, or what are you.
Yeah.
I'm yo, what are you? I mean yo, what kind of genitals do you have? You know why I'm asking you that? Because there's a possibility that there may be an attraction further on down the road. I guess, I don't know, I've never really looked into it, into basic human biology. Why do we want to know the biological sex of the person that we're interacting with?
Procreation, maybe? I don't know.
That's what I assume. I assume it's to determine whether or not this is somebody that we potentially would procreate with, or that we may have a conflict with because it's another male. So
competing male, yeah.
Yeah, so I assume that it's 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 one of the first things that we do. It's just and the people get upset because why do you want to know what's in my pants? Blah blah blah, talking certain videos and whatnot. But and it's the mindset that a lot of people do have. Not a lot, but some people do have, and that's not the case. I don't think it's just the first thing that we go to, and it's So when I say gender, sure, you could be whatever you want. Be whatever you want, but what are you biologically, sex-wise?
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. It's I ain't trying to start a fight with anybody. It's just all right, okay, we're in this modern civilization. So I'm kind of confused, especially a place like Seattle. Like, I just want to know what gender you are. If you're that okay, well then we'll like act accordingly in a very cordial, very eloquent manner. And okay, yeah, it doesn't have to be like some kind of weird battle. It's like, all right, you identify as male, female, whatever.
Yeah, no, man. Like, my ex-girlfriend had short hair, and she was just like, she was a tiny girl, short hair. Could have mistaken her for a dude. She had both her parents were lesbians, and she helped me. Like, it's not, I wasn't like, I'll say this. It's not that I was homophobic, but I often like thought about like, I don't understand exactly what's going through the minds of gay people, because I'm straight. So like, when I see a woman, that's who I'm attracted to. So like, when a man sees a man, I don't understand how that connection is made, right? Like, and so but like, that's the whole thing that she helped me realize, that like, we just talked about it and stuff, and it's like, I would always like just like question it, be like, just like, not even in a bad way. I'm just an inquisitive person. Like, yeah, sure, I'm the kid that like they tell to shut up, don't ask so many questions, but it's like, yo, I want to know. So it's like, the whole thing is, it's like, I'm not gonna understand. It's not for me to understand, because I'm not gay. It's I assume it's just the exact same feeling as I'd have towards a woman. But
exactly. Like, that's just like, that's the people's personal attraction that way, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure to like a gay man, a vagina might like look kind of weird to them, like whatever. It's just like, that's just how it is, and like whatever your sexuality is, that doesn't matter. Like, that's your deal, and whatever.
yeah, no, yeah, but like, that's the whole thing as well, right? Is that the whole thing? Is it just like, that's your sexuality? Not, this isn't just like for gay people or something. It's like, is that your sexuality? So like, whatever between like a man and a woman, a binary situation, and then it's like getting into like a whole bunch of weird stuff. So like, what crosses the line? Is it like anything that's just consensual between two adults? So like incest to a brother and a sister, is that fine? This is not compared to gay people or anything. It's just because you just said it's whatever your sexuality is.
Okay. So when it comes to things,
yeah. I just want to clarify
when it comes to
that it has nothing to, change of topic. This is a change of topic.
Oh yeah, good. and a very good point, because this is actually something that I think the left for some reason seems to be pushing. But okay, no, whatever anyone's sexuality is, or whatever they consider their gender, as long as you are you are of a adult, rational minding age, and you are consenting to whatever. If two grown, sovereign individuals want to do whatever with each other, I don't give a fuck. Dude,
Even,
let them do
even
it.
a brother and a sister.
Well, if they're both I mean, I'm not promoting inbreeding, because that can screw up the genetic line in general. But if you are a consenting adult and you know what you're doing, whatever, man. But
I've already thought about that question. It's like, you know what? Like, in the same sense, it's like, as long as you're not bringing another life into this world,
yeah,
then do what you want. I'm not condoning it, but I'm not discriminating against it.
I will say this: if you're a dude and you want to have sex with your sister, I recommend getting your tubes tied or her getting on birth control. I do not recommend incestual breeding.
No, actually,
just to make very clear.
In fact, like, if you do want to have sex with your sister, then I in fact recommend like counseling, or just like to speak with somebody and just like talk about the way that like things are going and stuff, because you may have some sort of chemical imbalance in your brain that's driving these types of urges and stuff, like, because that's the whole thing, that like a lot of people don't want to don't want to talk about that. Like, you know, I don't care. I'm not afraid to talk about it. But like, mental health is a huge issue, and like, there are a lot of things that can be affected by mental health. And like, when you're having strange urges like that, strange. Oh, don't call it strange. Don't make people feel bad. Well, it's like, listen, if it's going outside the boundaries of like what's on average acceptable in society, then it's fucking strange, and you know, you should get your shit in check. Like, check yourself and make sure that you're mentally sound and that everything is good. I'm not afraid to say it. Like, you know, everybody should do it. I should do it. You should do it. We should all make sure that we're like all the time, because, you know, like, life is wild out there, especially in this day and age when we're taking in so much information all the time. Like, you can see somebody today, and in 6 months they can be a completely different person. Like, you can't tell me that that's not a psychological change. Like,
no, exactly. I'm not promoting sibling incest. I know it's something that a lot of the the Egyptian ruling elites, and even like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and Carnegies have done through the ages. I'm not promoting that. That will like make some messed up stuff happen in your genetic bloodline. Please don't do that.
Or you could just end up ruling the entire world.
Yeah, but even the Darwins had to.
Oh, no,
that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Incest, don't do it. I recommend not doing it. Yeah, so as far as that goes, I don't recommend it. What was the thing we were talking about right before that?
Jordan Peterson and the whole Bill C-16.
Oh yeah, Bill C-16. That one's an encroachment on. Well, it's like a reverse of freedom of speech. It's like forcing you to.
Yeah, it's like imposed speech.
Yeah, it's like what?
Yeah, so basically, like, the way that it works is like, yeah, if you're like if you identify as like anything, you can, and you're in a workplace, you can tell your employer that you identify as such, and if they don't, pardon.
I'm a reptilian Zerg stapler.
Yeah, I'm sure it's within reason, but it potentially is not, right? Because like, how could it? And like, honestly though, because like, if you say that to me and I tell you no, then like, you could adamantly just be upset about it and get angry, and then there you go, right? Like, you can't be telling people that they aren't what they say they are when it's just based off of what you feel you are at that given moment. So it's a slippery slope. It's bad. It's not good for the actual people that do identify as trans, like for the trans movement. It's really bad for the trans movement in general. But you know, you could separate the trans movement from the non-binary movement, is what I would consider like all these pronoun activists and everything that's going on.
And that's a good point, because like, from what I can tell, and like me being here in Seattle, I have friends that are gay and tranny, and like, you know, as far as tranny people goes, like the vast majority of them, they want to be recognized as the opposite gender they were labeled with when they were born. So like, the whole like obscure 51 genders thing is it's such it's
condescending. It's disrespectful. If you're not serious, if you're not 100% serious in the fact that you don't believe, like, if you're like, yeah, like, I'm asexual, so I don't, like, because that's something I've heard of since, like, before even this stuff came out. So asexual, I believe, is people that don't really like either guys or girls. They're just like not attracted to anybody. They're not sexually active. They just live their life. It's like, whatever. And then like, or like, you're somebody who likes either guys or girls, like bisexual, I guess. Like, sure. There are like a few variations of like, those are just like sexual preferences though. Like, if you like, you may not care. It's like, you either are a guy, you like girls, you're a girl, you like guys, you're a guy, you like guys, you're a girl, you like girls, or you just don't care. Or you don't care in the sense that you like both, or you don't care in the sense that you don't like either. Like, it's not that hard. There's ultimately 6 choices. Pick one.
Yeah, that's what it pretty much comes down to. I mean, and yeah, there's I think a lot of things with people on the hardcore left is this weird thing, because like I grew up here in Seattle, and Seattle's a very leftist city. And back in the 90s, the people on the left, they actually like protested against things like the World Trade Organization and the Iraq War. I'm like, all right, yeah, I don't like Bush either. I don't like war, and I think the World Trade Organization's stupid. But now it's morphed into this thing where it's just like, if you're not a hardcore lefty whatever, then you're outright. So even like classical liberals here in Seattle being labeled outright. So it's just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that the other day, because like I said, I don't prescribe to any political party. So I was thinking, like, who represents like the right? Who's just like, if there's the left, who's the right? Because everything's just like, it's either the far right or the alt right or like some variation of the right, but there's no just like right. There's no right wing depot.
Well, that's a weird thing. Like the only thing left of what I would call the right that I actually despised growing up was what we still have, like the old guard Republicans like John McCain, who's a total douchebag and he's still a warmonger. So like we still have what's like the old guard Republicans, which I never associated with and still don't. And now we have this other thing that people call the alt-right, which is like, it's so subjective. Like it encompasses so many people.
Yeah, and then
it's like a...
But like, and then like, just from this Canadian, sorry to cut you off again, but just from this Canadian point of view, it's like the alt-right was just like a variation of like right-winged politics when I first started looking into politics, and then like only within like the last like 3 months or something, like I don't know, not very long, like it's just like mainstream outlets have just been labeling it as like centering it around, I guess, like perhaps the movement has just like grown more and actually based themselves off, but just like sectioning it off as like just like white identitarians or like white not nationalists, but like more so just like it because you know it would vary between the people that you discussed. Well, either people that believe that European identity should be preserved in America because it's being taken away and you know it's under threat and blah blah blah, and we're just as bad as the SJWs and hate everybody else and we're basically racist. And then other people that are just like, yeah, I can recognize that the European race will diminish if we do not recognize it as a problem and fix it. So let's fix it. Like, just be proud of who you are. Like, you know, there's no problem with recognizing the fact that if you are white and don't start procreating in the United States, that soon you will be a very large minority. Large minority.
Right. Yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, and I've been looking at a bunch of different people's videos, even talked to some people, the outright, according to the far left, is just so broad. Like, yeah, the outright does include white supremacists, the very small minority, white nationalists, a little bit bigger, then people that are not afraid to say they're pro-white, but not like racist-ish. And then it also includes people that are just like, they would have voted more on the Republican side, but they don't. They fucking hate politics so much. A lot of them are like just like general white people that got so sick of the crap. And even black people. There's a lot of black people now, right? Too, actually.
Yeah. See, like that's what doesn't make any sense, right? It's like it's all subjective to who you talk to, right? Like, oh, they're all racist white nationalists or white supremacists. Like, yeah, sure. Like, everyone's got to subscribe to a movement. Like, fuck, Black Lives Matters. Black Lives Matter is fucking leftist movement there. Like, Jesus Christ, terrorist movement if you ever saw one.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, no, like you know what I mean? Like, the KKK's like far right or whatever the fuck. It's like, yeah. Doesn't mean that like I support that. It's like I can't stop somebody from prescribing to something that makes sense just because I don't agree with other things that they agree with.
Right. Yeah, so like a lot of people in outright are actually classical liberals. Actually, just
I assume
want some more common sense things that aren't just about like race baiting people and everything. Like, can we just like keep the race thing out of it and like like figure out what the hell to do next and like not make race an issue. Oh, racist. If you don't say if you don't have a Black Lives Matter T-shirt, you're a racist. Like I see, oh my god, like in my neighborhood here in Seattle, there's people like Black Lives Matter posters up in their yards. It's like, dude,
it's funny.
I think Black Lives Matter too, but what about the rest of the genomes? Like, does that not matter either? Like, come on.
I don't think that any lives should matter on a flag or a slogan. You shouldn't undermine the all lives matter because that's just common sense. Like, all fucking lives matter, you dumb fuck. Sorry, but
exactly.
Yo, this is pretty funny. The town next to the town I'm in now, they actually got in a little bit of trouble back in like 2014 or probably 2015 because that's when.
What they do?
They were the cops. They were selling Blue Lives Matter shirts.
Shit!
That whole campaign. Oh my god, just a shitstorm. And it was the internet. Obviously, the internet just went crazy on them, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't be selling that. Nah, not here. Not in 2015. Like, blue lives don't matter." It's like, yo, just chill out. And it's like, it's a small town, just doing a little charity. Sold like probably 15 shirts.
Okay, yeah. Especially if it's a small town, there's like one sheriff, and he's just trying to like be the sheriff. Like he's obviously not having a whole brigade of people.
Well, medium-sized police force, and the OPP, I think, police is the same like area as well. So it's like there are a lot of police around here, but that town's supposed to be known as like one of like the friendliest towns, like one of the most inviting towns to like gays and lesbians in Ontario. So like it just like things don't add up. The things just don't add up. Like, come on now. Cops aren't out there beating everybody down. Like, I've had some strange encounters with the cops, but not every cop is out there fucking beating everyone down. And you stop resisting arrest. How about that? Stop fucking resisting arrest. I'll tell you right now, like, it comes down to like how you act and how you play out the scenario when you interact with a police officer. If you are respectful and remain calm, and like I said before, some situations are not good situations. You may just have to suck up the fact that, this guy's treating you like shit. He's talking down to you, and you're gonna have to take it, and you're getting arrested for something that you don't believe that you did. And fight it legally, because if not, you're gonna have to still fight it legally, and things are just gonna get worse, and you're gonna potentially fucking die. Like, it's not worth it. You really need to. Children need to be taught how to interact with police and not to fear police, because like a lot of people, you see a police officer and you just initially have this instinctual fear, which isn't a good thing. That's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
So on average, I don't know if you do, but I do.
No, like one of the things I've been studying for a while now is the esoteric legal system. So like, yeah, if I'm dealing with cops, you don't be a dick. Just like, okay, all right, and then you can even sign things differently and then deal with it in the court later. Just like, some cops can be assholes, and some cops can be really violent. But the safest thing to do, living in this world we're in, is just like, fine, okay, give me whatever to sign, and you can just sign it. Like
the reason for that is simply because we give these people the power to govern over us in a small term, right? Like to serve and protect, which means they're out there putting their lives on the line for us. So if they're interacting with somebody and that person's giving them a hard time, they need to do everything in their power to make sure that they are not harmed, that they can diffuse the situation, and that's another thing. We give them the authority to, if I attack you, you're going to come after me. But like I said earlier, you're not going to kill me, because if you do, the police are going to come after you. But we give the police the authority to kill us if we attack them, and that's how they are supposed to be ensured their safety, because we shouldn't on average be harming them. And when you do, they have the authority to enact a lot worse damage than the average person, and that's something that we give them. But I think like a huge issue is the fact that like police abuse their power so much, and that needs to be addressed. It's like, yeah, people need to learn how to interact with the police, and the police need to learn how to interact with the people so much.
Yeah, completely agreed.
Like it's just as much as people. Like 100%. Cops, it seems as if they almost go out of their way to look for a confrontation sometimes as soon as it starts. It's like your main goal should be to actively diffuse any tension that is in any situation. Like that should be what you're amazing at, is getting everything calm and making people relaxed and figuring out the situation and fixing it. But a big problem is that like I don't know about in the States, but here in Canada, it's super easy to become a cop. You don't have a criminal record, it's like 2-year course. I'm good to go. And they don't get paid the greatest. They get paid all right. But like the thing is, it should be super hard to be a cop. It should be super physical, like strenuous testing, and it should be very like you should have a high educational standard. And in the same sense, it should be equally compared in like monetary value. You should be paid a high amount for the type of work that they're doing. They're putting their lives on the line, and it should be very tough to be able to do it, because we have too many people that are just dicks that just go and be cops because they're like, yeah, sure, I could be a cop, get some fucking power.
Yeah, it's the same here in the U.S., and I agree that there actually should be some higher standards. In fact, there are police officers, like here in Seattle, I'm guessing it's across the country, that will get turned down if your IQ is too high.
What?
They will turn you down.
What is the basis for that?
The justification, there's actually a news report here in Seattle saying like he'll get bored with the job because he's too intelligent, like, and his IQ is like 126, and it's like, or 122, whatever. It was like, Jesus, it has to be that low? Really? And that was actually on the mainstream news here in Seattle. Like, crap, if your IQ is above 120, you can't be a cop? Fuck. And I think it'd be a better idea if you had the law enforcers maybe be a little bit more intelligent. And
yeah.
But that was straight up on the local news here in Seattle. No fucking joke.
Oh, that's wild. I heard a story about in Seattle that the local prison guards were no longer allowed to call inmates. They had to call them
that's right.
students.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, I know.
And that they couldn't, and that police officers were no longer calling suspects. They were calling them community members.
Yep, that is true.
Like, there's already a name for somebody who has not yet been charged with a crime, but is being looked into. It's called a person of interest. So what the fuck? Everybody is a community member. It doesn't differentiate this guy who's being arrested for potentially doing this crime that I just witnessed him do. We just need to wait for it to go through the court processing. And Joe Blow down the road.
Well, that's Seattle is one of the apotheosis cities of what you might call left-wing liberals and newspeak, where you
they did it because it looks good.
Well, okay, we're supposed to be super PC and all that stuff, and like not exclude anybody, but I mean this is newspeak. I mean, this is straight up Orwellian 1984 newspeak. No, straight up. And Ed Murray, our current mayor, he just was like, whatever. That's what we should do.
Yeah, no, it's like it's a willful ignorance. You know, the classic statement: "Remember the future." It's like you can see the types of things that will come if we continue on the same directions, in the same directions.
Well, it's so funny because when I was in middle school, I read Animal Farm by George Orwell. I read 1984 by George Orwell. And then we see these things unfolding that's very synonymous with what's going on. But it seems like people here at Seattle, very lefty city, they're embracing it. It's like, oh. It's like, what? You thought that was an instruction manual? That's how it's supposed to be? I thought that was some kind of warning. But okay, you thought it was an instruction manual. Jesus. Come on.
Yeah, I don't understand, like, where people come from when they, like, if you sit down and listen to like even like just like the best argument against like socialism versus capitalism, okay? You can have the argument, right? But eventually it just comes down to, well, it's like which is no, it's like, that's not even like which is better. Oh my god, I'm just like, okay. It basically comes down to, I'm drawing a blank, man.
Okay. So like, from my understanding of socialism versus capitalism, like, okay, socialism means that in the bureaucratic sense of the word, means you have to have wealth being extracted from the people behind the barrel of a gun, and you take it from them, and then you redistribute it out to the people. But in the meantime, you have to pay all the bureaucracy and the soldiers to hold the guns to the people's heads. It's very inefficient. Whereas, like, you might say pure capitalism, in its pure system, with no government, would be just different people starting up their companies and doing things and having limited regulations, just doing things that work. So socialism would be the antithesis in the sense, assuming there wasn't government enforcing the capitalism, then that'd be kind of the opposite. So socialism is like, you have to have a gun held to your head to extract money from you to redistribute it.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to get at was like something like that was a way better definition than what I would have come up with. But I think that what I was trying to get at was more like a super basic situation of like, with socialism, where has it worked, and
right,
how well, and then with capitalism, what has worked better, and where. It's like, yeah, sure, there are reasons why socialism could potentially work, but where has it worked, and for how long, and why, and what has all happened. And then capitalism as well, there are flaws with it, but like, what has worked better? And like, what are you offering to work better than capitalism?
Now, yeah, like studying, like, say, Aboriginal history of, like, say, Native American tribes or other Aboriginal tribes across the world, you might call natural socialism or communism within the tribe has worked because they didn't really have a big system of government. They just help each other out because that's what you do. Yeah. And then even 1,000 years ago in like medieval Christian villages, there wasn't a whole lot of government. They would just, that was part of the religious faith. They would just help each other out because they did. No one held a sword to them. They just did it because that's what they did. That's when it can work, when you actually choose by your own volition to be a helpful person. That's when it can work. When some bureaucracy forces you to be virtuous with a shit ton of money extracted from other people, that's when it doesn't work. Yeah. But when you voluntarily choose to be virtuous, great. I am all for that. But a government holding a sword or a gun or whatever the technology is for the time, no.
No, and that is exactly what it is. I can't remember who the guy is, but somebody always goes through this and outlines it like super well. But the point is that like ultimately that is the end result, because it's like you got to pay your taxes, and you're like, oh, you don't have to. It's like, yeah, you do, and if you don't, what's gonna happen? Well, the government's gonna like send you a couple letters and blah blah blah, and then like you're eventually gonna be like taken to court or whatever is gonna happen. But if you just don't go or whatever, what's gonna happen? Well, police are gonna come to your house, and because you haven't shown up for your court cases and all this stuff's been going on, and you're eventually gonna be arrested, and because they're gonna need to contact you. And then if you just keep refusing, you're eventually gonna be put into jail, and whatever, tax evasion or whatever, just charged. And so there will be like physical action or physical repercussions taken if you do not pay these taxes. It's like, and if you resist even further, I guess you could say, when the police come to arrest you, then like, no, like that's a physical gun. You will be shot, you will be killed, you will be physically taken. Plain and simple.
They'll eventually kill you.
Yeah, they will. And it's like the average citizen isn't willing to actually accept that fact about their own government. But it's like, that's the power that you give them. It's the power that we give them, as like, it's why everybody else is paying their taxes. That's the underlying reason why you pay your taxes. It's because you have to. And because, in a lot of cases you want to. There's certain things that you do want your tax dollars to go towards that you think that you should, I believe, like, it's the same like within your community. Like, it's the same. It's just like donating within your community, but it's donating to your country, I guess, technically.
This is why I support. I think I'm 100% against income tax, especially if you're like a more blue-collar worker. Like, dude, that's your labor. You're gonna have that taken from you. And also, like, if you just own a tiny little hut or house, I don't think that should be taxed either, because you're just paying rent to the government. When it comes to things, okay, that you want to have like a road built or whatever, a highway, then fine, you can voluntarily pay some kind of usury tax. But I think there should be at least some sort of safe hold away from, like, if you just want to be left alone from the rest of society, you want to have your tiny little 1/20th an acre, fine, and you should just be able to have that, not have it taken from you. And then if you want to work, you shouldn't have that robbed from you either. But if you want to volunteer into having bigger things built, then I think there's better ways we can go about doing that. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I'm just saying, like, income tax and property tax, I think, are kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like, it's kind of strange that, like, we have to pay to live on the land that we inhabit. I've never really thought about that. Like, property tax as well, especially, like, paying for, like, a tax on the property that's on the land that you also pay taxes on to live.
Okay. It's one thing if you're like Ted Turner and have 1 million acres, then maybe you can have like a quote unquote land tax. Or if you consume this much of the earth, yeah, okay, that's messed up. But if you just have like a tiny little chunk somewhere, okay, all right, we'll leave you alone. We're not gonna kick you off there, Grandma. You're 80 years old. We're not gonna kick you off your land. Just like the ability, just to like have your, just to not be completely messed with by a quote-unquote government. Just to be left alone. But then if you want to do bigger things, you can voluntarily kind of go into that pool. kind of thing. I mean, there should be at least some sort of safe haven for people that just want to like just be left alone in the little hut. I want to be in my hut. Leave me alone.
Yeah, like it's strange. Like, yeah, I guess just like to get off the grid and not be a part of society. But that's the whole thing. If you like, you still want to be a citizen, I guess, of that country, and you're still occupying land in that country. That's what it's more about, right? Like, it's more about being a productive member of that country. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a member of your society and stuff, but we all pay a contribution to our country by all the federal bullshit that we have to go through. Each and every individual, we all go through the same stuff there, but like provincially and then state-wise with you guys, we all go through different stuff, but federally it's all the same for everybody, like taxes.
So yeah, this is like, and this could even get to a slightly more philosophical thing, but I have a little small group of friends here in the Northwest that come from all around the country, where we're just trying to kind of be our own sovereign individuals. I mean, we help out people when we can, but we just want to be left alone as much to the point where we'll volunteer as much as we can to help others, but I think we can do a little bit better what the government offers, and just let's do our thing. Anyone around us, they'll be helped. Can you just let us, like, can you not like tax us to oblivion so we can't do this? It like, you know, like, I think there should be a thing where people can have the option of doing things maybe more efficiently than the government, and just leave us to our own ways. And if you want nothing to do with you, just leave us alone. All right? You don't want to help us, like, in an emergency situation? Fine, let us die. We'll handle our own shit. Just leave us alone. We'll make it happen. But we'll help anybody around us. Like, just for the love of God, we got a good idea. Let us try it out. Let us just try it out.
Yeah, I see it to a point for sure. But at that point, it's kind of like a separate country. It's just like you're just a different country then.
Which from the inception of the United States, before the 14th Amendment was implemented, which is what we were supposed to be, we were actually a very libertarian and anarcho-capitalist society before 1868. That is when the Gilded Age came in and socialism started coming in, and then furthermore with 1913 income tax under Woodrow Wilson, and then furthermore under Franklin Delano Roosevelt during the whole pre-World War II and World War II scenario, we really brought into socialism. So for anyone who doesn't know, the United States is very much a socialist country. In case anyone doesn't get that, we are.
Yeah, I think that the current political climate is painting that picture pretty well for people.
Well, I mean, it goes straight back to even Karl Marx's 10 planks of communism. Like, he has his 10 planks of communism. Like, the primary one is a graduated income tax that did not exist until this country until 1913 under Woodrow Wilson, and it was not fully enforced until the 1960s. And then, we have the public education system, which is the 10th plank of communism. So, which we've had before that. So, to one degree or another, we are living here in the United States under the 10 planks of communism. I'm sure you are in Canada as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Canada is slowly but surely becoming different.
Well, we're so synonymous. Our the United States and Canada's history is very synonymous. I mean, some people joke you guys are America's hat or whatever, but we're basically the same country. Like, I mean.
Oh no, yeah, I agree. We
I think we have the same area code now.
Oh, weird.
Or or country code or whatever. Yeah, I think it's the same one now.
Yeah. There are a lot of differences, obviously, between the States and Canada, but from the perspective of someone from the United States, like just from people that I've talked to, and what makes sense to me is that Canada is kind of just like another state to you guys. Like, it's just like, another place up there. It's a little different. It's not technically the States, but, it's basically just like a different state. But, like, all of Canada's, like, relatively the same. Like, Ontario to BC, it wouldn't be like going from New York to California. Or New York to, like, I don't know, LA.
I guess the way I always look at it, like, I actually have some of your guys' money for fun. I have just keep my desk from my vacations there. I think of Canada on a political level as an extension of the British Empire because you have the Queen on your money.
Yeah.
So, I think of Canada as an extension of the British Empire in certain ways, but that's getting to more esoteric things. But that's.
Well, we, I guess we still, like, basically acknowledge the Queen is the Queen, and I don't think we run our policies through her anymore, but we did at one point still, like, as we were still, like, our own nation, and, it's weird, I guess, like, just through speaking to, like, different people. I've never been to England. I've never been to Europe in general. I've been to the States, just like not too far around, just like in Buffalo and stuff. But just the differences that I've seen between the perspectives of people is like Canada's kind of like a mixture, like almost like an experiment of the United States and Britain. Like, we're just like a mix of the two. Like, too hard to explain. Pointless story.
No, I got you. I mean, it's kind of the way that some of us Americans like joke about when we travel up to Canada. It's like, these Canadians, what do they know? But no. Even though we're so closely tied together that the politics are pretty much the same. So
yeah, I'd say like the stereotypical Canadian, but like not like in actuality, but just like the stereotype of Canadians that I see like portrayed. This is always like this through the lens of the media. So like the stereotype of like the general Canadian that's portrayed as like a hick, but not like a racist hick, just like a hick, like someone lives in the country and they drink beer, they play hockey, and probably got
hockey's a big one. Yeah
Probably got a beer gut, got a toque on their head and a beard, and probably a little stupid, but they know it's the whole thing. They're probably a little stupid, but they got common sense. They're not like complete idiots, but they're just like goofy, like dumb. And then like the whole thing with like Americans is like it depends. That's
What are we like? What are we like?
Well, that's the whole thing. It all depends. Like that's why I say the States is a lot different than Canada, because like in Canada, like you got that description of that guy, but you're gonna get that guy in Vancouver or you're gonna get that guy in Toronto. Like you're gonna get him in both places, like both places across the country. So it's not like you got like, I don't know, stereotypical New Yorkers like a snobby person for sure, like just like stuck up a little bit, just like on average compared to like, because like you gotta even understand though, like in a city, like when you're in a bigger city, like they're nothing compared to New York, but they're like bigger cities here in Canada, and it's like when you are in a bigger city, like you're just chilling around doing nothing. If I'm in the middle of trying to get something done and like you're just like lounging around doing nothing in the middle of the sidewalk while I'm like just like staring in on it and like I accidentally bump into you, I'm not necessarily going to be in like a mood to like stop and say sorry and sit and say whatever, just like have that like even like that 2-second interaction. It's like I'm on a mission, I'm doing something. Like it's very goal business oriented. And like yeah, so anyways, New York, very like stuck up, you could say, in that sense. Very business oriented, very and very and very like politically correct as well, and also very gay. That's what I get a sense of New York. And then
well, that's every big city in the United States is nothing wrong with being gay, but that's just
no. I just mean like show like just like very like I said business oriented, but also like theatrics.
You have to make a point about it. You have to make a big expedition about like, look at us, like Seattle. Like Seattle and San Francisco, which is a neighboring city down California. Like it's like a huge thing. Like we have to make a big deal about being gay and all that. But yeah, New York has Broadway. I know that's a whole.
Yeah, that's that's more so like what I was thinking. Like I just think of like show tunes and stuff. And I guess like gay in the classical sense of like just like flamboyant and like exuberant or like happy, like.
It's been around forever. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess also homosexual. Like I assume it's a big city.
Oh well, yeah, New York. I haven't been there in so long. So, but you live. Well, your region of Canada is way closer to there. So
yeah, it's like over top of that area.
I'm stuck over here in Washington, where I'm right next to Evergreen and Olympia and Vancouver. So like I'm more familiar with this geographical region. But yeah, New York. I haven't been to a Broadway show, so.
So like yeah, what's your take on the whole Evergreen thing? Yeah, how much time do you have left?
I got some time.
All right, yeah. Yeah, I'm good too.
Speaking of Evergreen, I will say this, about 14-15 years ago, I actually spent a lot of time hanging out on the campus, and it was a lot different back then, and it was that was during the whole like George W. Bush was in office, and everyone was like, "Oh, no war, fuck George W. Bush," and I was like, "Oh yeah, fuck George W. Bush too." But I did notice that, I noticed the thing about the campus, like I swear to God, I would see kids like literally like doing little circle dances, like high on some kind of psychedelic, I'm guessing. I'm not joking.
No, yeah, I know, like a drum circle. There, you gotta be high. You gotta be high.
Whatever, dude, that's their thing. I'm just saying, like, people are paying money, and that taxpayers are paying money for kids to go here.
Oh yeah.
Or adult, whatever. And I saw these hippies dancing around everywhere. Also, like, I went to their cafeteria, I went to their bathroom. There was no warm running water in those bathrooms. No, I'm serious.
You're saving costs, man.
The urinals do not flush for saving water, and the hand washing sinks, no warm water.
This is all voluntary.
Well, this is part of the campus, and like.
Yeah, okay, I know, but I mean, like, the kids, like, on the campus are probably like, we're doing such a good job, we save so many gallons of water each year, and, whatever, they do. But, like, that's public school, it's sanitary issues, like, flush your goddamn toilet.
Now, fine, whether they want to do that, but here's, like, the very first time I saw that campus, and this is down, like, a foresty part of Olympia, like, really close to where my mom lives. The first impression I got of looking at that campus, it looked like a Nazi death camp. It looked like a concrete slab, which it is, in the middle of a forest. Like I seriously, like, Auschwitz came in my mind when I first saw that school when I was 21. I'm like, holy crap, this is a giant concrete slab in the middle of the forest. And I go in there, and it's just like, wow, these guys have a regimented sort of way of doing things. I mean, there's some cool things about it. They're into organic gardening, which I think is awesome. I do organic gardening myself. But the building just looked like a freaking Camp Auschwitz incinerator. I'm serious, dude. And this was like 15 years ago.
I can only imagine what it looks like now.
It still probably looks the same. Now there's just more people getting angry about more. Well, if you have white skin, then we're gonna hate you more. It's just it got any more retarded. I mean, just come on, man.
Well, that's the whole thing. Obviously, that's where I heard of Evergreen from, was the whole Brett Weinstein incident. So, you've heard of that, obviously.
Oh, of course.
So, what do you think? If you're a sane individual, I assume that this shouldn't even really be a conversation. But I've spoke with people that have had this conversation, and it's gone a different way than it's about to go with you and I. So, what are your thoughts on what happened with Brett Weinstein?
With Brett Weinstein, he from what I can tell, he seemed to be a very much hardcore, what you might call, social justice warrior, and on a certain level, it seems like he almost contributed to the problem to begin with on the ideological level. However, it seems like he's trying to maybe come back from that because realize, okay, maybe this wasn't such a good idea to just make all this a racial issue bullshit. And from what I can tell, maybe he's saying hey, I fucked up, and maybe we shouldn't just reduce everything to stupid racial bullshit, and let's maybe look at things on a more sophisticated, pragmatic, intellectual level, and not just hate each other because race and shit. I mean, that's stupid. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, you went a different direction than I thought you were. You went pretty in depth to just Brett Weinstein in general and what he is doing, which is also good because I think that that's something that has been discussed by certain people and is something to bring up that Brett Weinstein is at fault here. He helped play into this for so long, and he's just another one of these social justice warriors. He seems to be a very, very progressive individual, but if you listen to what the premise of his entire course was, what he wanted people to get out of it, it was basically the fact that we have underlined racial dispositions towards being acceptive to people that we have grown up around that will be the same color as us and the same race, and being more offensive or being more defensive of people that may not necessarily be the same race as you, because biologically that's how we would stay alive. If this was let's say, who knows, I don't know timelines, but let's go back and we're cave people, and I am a person that lives with 10 other black people, and I've only seen black people my whole life, and I'm out in the jungle and I see a white person. I'm less likely to die if I don't interact with you. Plain and simple. It's basic biology, and people take it and they take it so literally. They're oh, so because I'm black, they definitely won't go that way, but they'll say, oh, well then because I'm white, I must be racist. No. Understand that you may have a disposition to have underlined racial prejudice towards outside races. Anybody. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It just doesn't matter. But it's not his fault if people don't understand the premise of what he's trying to say. I guess in the end it just shows that I guess he's not a great teacher. His message was very good, but he didn't convey it very well. He got people to think that all white people are racist for no real reason. They're just born that way, and there's nothing they can do about it, and all black people should make them admit it and call it out and acknowledge it. Acknowledge you're racist.
Right. I'm not trying to say with absolution what's going on through his mind. I was just giving a general, brief description of the scenario from what I saw on YouTube. But from what I can tell, it seems like he's not like a total asshole. He's just trying to be like a professor, and actually, he probably seems like he actually does care about people in general, from what I can tell. I think, and this whole situation at Evergreen is just, it kind of makes me think of like, it makes me look at Evergreen like it's like an adult daycare. It's like you can't seriously, like you can't handle a few what could be perceived as offensive things to like, and then a adult like way deal with it. Now you got to have you have to petition to the government or your daddy or whatever, like, oh God, please help me. Oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this racist or whatever the fuck it is stuff. And all of a sudden you're in such a incapacitated state where you need some parental figure, because apparently you didn't get enough of that as a child, that now all of a sudden you have to yell at that one. Oh my God, the president. Okay, I will say this: the president, or whatever the fuck his title is, such a bitch, dude. Like, he needs to be fired, whatever. He needs to go away. That guy. Oh my God, dude.
Oh yeah, 100%. No
Jesus, what? Ugh.
Anybody that would allow that sort of thing to go on, like anyone that would allow themselves to be subjected to that type of ridicule and actively break down, like, and give in to their commands, like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, you should never be in any position of power. It makes no sense. How did you get here? How did you get your job? How did you come into work today? You should be getting some sort of help. Like, that is not okay.
Ugh,
it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay. And that's the whole thing. That's not okay. I don't think that's okay for anybody. Like, you shouldn't, like, if you're everybody's entitled to be who they are, but I mean, like, I'm not trying to talk down to people who are easily manipulated and can be walked all over and have no backbone and are just, that's their thing. But those people often aren't in positions of power. And if you are, and that's the type of person you are, you need to reflect on what you're doing, because you're supposed to be leading people, right? Like, there are a lot of people that are following your direction. So you need to be a proper leader. It's a responsibility. Take it.
Oh, exactly, yeah. I mean, words to the wise. If if you don't want to take a leadership position, then fine, then don't take it. But if you do want to be like the leader or like alpha commander, then you better be on your A game. Otherwise, just like step aside. I mean, that's as simple as that. Like, if you don't want to do that, then fine, step aside. It's cool.
So, but I'm gonna flip it here, because no, I'm not gonna flip it here. I'm gonna save this for after we're done, because Evergreen's actually a pretty nice topic. What do you think about, like, the fact that, like, apparently there were reports, like, this has been going on, like, there have been, like, tons of, like, reports from the mainstream media, as well as, like, just, like, independent sources and things reporting people walking around terrorizing students. The school's been shut down on and off. Like, apparently there's been, like, two state legislators that have passed, like, I don't know how it works, bills, I believe, to try to strip funding from the school. Like, what do you think about this? Is started from the fact that Brett Weinstein didn't want to leave and said that was a racist act. Like, it started from something that like technically doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's like they were in the wrong to begin with. So, like, how, like, what's going on? Like, how do you feel about what's going on?
Oh, well, like, with, like, potential to funding and all that?
Yeah, and just, like, with the school, like, being shut down and stuff, and, like, what do you think should happen?
Man. Okay, my personal opinion and this actually goes even 15 years before this whole thing happened. It's like I would joke about this school. Like, this school was like, okay, there's a few cool things they did, but whatever. But most, like, we had this joke like, why did the Evergreen student cross the road? To get 5 credits. That was like one of the jokes. Like, yeah, that's just like,
yeah.
The school's kind of been a joke for over 2 decades, and so as far as it like getting defunded for being super racist, please just defund it out of existence and let something replace it, like, that's not government funded. Fine, let something better rise from its dead phoenix ashes to make something that's not this piece of crap that it is now. I fucking would completely support that school being defunded to oblivion and something better replacing it. Just like, me being here in the Northwest, born and raised here, I hope that school dies and something replaces it. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll support that for you. Yeah.
And it'd be great because this is a really good part of the Northwest where there's like actually a lot of environmentally in the actual intellectual sense of the word, people that care about the environment but have higher intelligence. Like you have kind of different environmentalists that just blindly believe what's told to them by Al Gore, but then there are actually a few kind of people down in Olympia, and I've spent a lot of time down there, that actually have a little bit more intelligence, and that you can actually have a rational conversation with them about other things that could be causing environmental issues. And that'd be great if like there was like a higher standard to get into that college there. I that'd be great. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think what they're proposing as it stands right now is basically to defund it completely with like federal funding and then have it to basically just be a private school. And so either it would go one of two ways, where they would, since it's a private school, they would enforce stricter policies and raise the level of people that they brought in, like the level of intelligent people, or they would continue with pandering to the social justice situation, and enrollment will continue to decrease, because that was one of the main factors that this year apparently enrollment was like way down, obviously, because who would want to go to that school after seeing like all this stuff that's gone on? Like nobody in the, and that's what's sad too. There's so many people out there that have a degree or are getting a degree from Evergreen that will never be looked at by their employers or like any employer seriously, and they may not even be close to being part of this situation. And it's just the attention that they've gotten in their school. And
yeah, I mean, that's kind of a shame. I mean, as far as the defunding goes, maybe that should happen, and maybe Evergreen could potentially reshape itself into something that could be of some sort of viability of some kind of standard, I guess, for a job application. That'd be great. No, Evergreen needs a big pimp slapping. They need it big time. They really need to get pimp slapped and forced to deal with that, because sometimes that's what you have to do. I'm all for them having like a little segue 1-year period where they get fucking pimp slapped, and maybe they get some people with some testicular fortitude and people that aren't total left-wing fascists to like maybe make that a more viable college. That'd be great.
Yeah, turn it into something nice.
Exactly. Sometimes that's what has to be done.
Yeah, I agree. Like sometimes it just takes a little tough love, and that's what it seems to be coming down to. Is like there are some things. It's like if we want to have these arguments, let's get down to the base root of the facts and the science behind what we're talking about, and then there's little room to argue based on emotion. And it's like, you know what? Guess what? Sometimes, most of the time, the facts, they disagree with the way that you actually feel, or that like, because that's the whole thing. We don't live in a utopia. Like, we don't live in the perfect world. So like all these ideas of what you want to happen aren't necessarily the best outcome, or like aren't going to produce the best outcome for the society that we live in. And that's sometimes it's a bad situation. That's the whole thing. But like the facts, I'm just talking about I'm thinking and talking about so many things at once. But like honestly, like the facts, they don't care about, that's the best phrase. The facts don't care about your feelings. But when your feelings get in the way, that's when you start making irrational arguments, right? So if you break it down to like the base level, people are going to be upset, but that's life.
That's a really good point. Like, as far as, okay, you're on the college campus, you're taking classes, go into your studying. Like, as far as the rest of the stuff goes for like dealing with emotional issues, that's what you have like your fraternities for, your sororities for, or your group of friends. You do that after class, like just like, like any class you grew up in a public education system. You get down to school and you talk about how fucking much you hate your going to school. You save that emotional stuff for when you're hanging out with your friends after class. Save like you deal with your class stuff with your class, and then like you talk to your friends and your fellow brothers or sisters, depending on what group you're in, and like you deal with it then. You don't need some safe space, like mandatory tax paid safe space to deal with you being a perpetual toddler. For fucking sakes, grow the fuck up.
No, like the idea of safe spaces is actually the most counterproductive thing that you could have in a college or a university. Like, that is a place that you should be testing yourself, that you should be pushing the boundaries of like your own educational abilities.
Exactly.
So putting yourself into a space where you are not tested and that you are not subjected to any outside negative interjection or intervention, I don't know, whatever the word is. It's just not good. It's just plain and simply not good. You need to test yourself. You need to, if you have an idea that you believe in, then you should be able to bring it up to anybody and discuss it and back up why you believe the things that you believe. So it's like, hey, I believe this. It's like, well, I don't think that. You shouldn't be just calling them a racist after that. You should be like, well, I believe this because this, and this. So why don't you believe it? And then I'd like to hear what, like, that's the way a conversation goes. But that's not the way a lot of people today are having them. It's like, I believe this because of this. And they're like, well, you're a this. And it's like, no, you should be like, I agree or I disagree. And I agree. If you agree, then cool. If you disagree, then I disagree because of this, and this. And then I will be like, okay, those are valid points. Maybe I should reconsider my position. Or I'll be like, no, I don't think those are valid points. Here's why. Like, it's called a conversation.
Exactly. It's very important to have a dialogue, and that's one of the things that Jordan Peterson brought up that I thought was great. And I'm trying to be better about this because I'm surrounded by a lot of left-wingers to engage in like humanism dialogue, to maybe try to establish some kind of communication, even though it's so hard in places like Seattle.
Yeah, you get shut down a lot, like with conversation.
Well, luckily, like I do have a few close friends around here that I'm able to talk to, but some other people, like, it's so hard to talk to them. Like they will not listen. Like I'm just trying to say, like maybe it's not the greatest thing to like force people to do things your way without their consent, just because you think it's all right. And it kind of gets off and to some things where it's just like some people just, once they get to a certain age, it seems like, and they believe this thing, not much you can do.
Have you found it getting worse as you get older?
Well, me getting older, like at a young age, I actually was questioning my assumptions. So for me, like, I'm always questioning my assumptions. But for other people my age, goddamn, yeah, it's so difficult to convince them.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I mean, what about you? What do you think about people around you trying to talk to? You ever talk to them about this stuff?
Yeah. People are accepting and not accepting. It's a strange combination.
Exactly.
It's strange because like it seems as though a lot of people, if they don't want to actually have the conversation, they just shut themselves off and don't interact with anybody with an opposing point of view. So like it's almost like you're never going to have the conversation with somebody that actually disagrees with you because they aren't open or willing to have a conversation. The only person that you're going to have a conversation with is somebody who potentially just doesn't have a position on the subject that you're arguing for, the thing that you're talking about. They may fall in line with the person that doesn't want to talk with you, and that's why you got into the argument or debate in the first place, but they genuinely don't care or don't have that position. They just follow along with it because it's what the mainstream media has playing in their head.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so like they're willing to talk because they don't actually care. But like a lot of people have already made up their minds about who you are. And so like, and it's so strange because it's like people that I like, sometimes I'll talk to certain people and they act as though I'm not the same person that I was when I talked to them like 2 years ago. It's like, you know who I am, you know that I'm not a racist person or anything, so like what don't you understand about the position that I have on this one thing? Like, right? It's like, why are you so quick to judge and put somebody into a classification that you labeled me as? Like, I never, it's not like I'm a self-proclaimed racist. You put me in that classification. So yeah, I don't know. People are just quick to judge, I guess I'd say.
They are, and that's kind of lame. I mean, I'm 15 16th a white guy, so obviously I'm perceived as whatever, a white dude. So like, especially here in Seattle, like if I say something like, "Oh, you're just a racist white," I'm like, okay, I didn't choose to be born with this skin pigmentation, but okay, I guess I'm racist for questioning assumptions of whatever. I talk shit about Bush, and I talk shit about Obama. Old summer racist, I talk shit about Obama, but I talk shit about Bush. What the fuck? What's that?
Yeah, no, it's not racist. That's the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know how to word it. It's like people don't they don't act properly anymore. They need to judge each other off of the content of their character. Just, not the color of their skin. Back to the old Martin Luther King.
Oh yeah, exactly. Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass. I'm not sure. I don't know if this happens in Canada, but one thing I noticed in Seattle is that left-wing liberal hate to put the white label on it, but they seem to have this incessant desire to have a bunch of token black friends to brag about to people, to make other white people that aren't them call them racist. And then like there's this weird thing with the lefties here in Seattle where they just have to know so many black people and like have to like be able to label anyone that doesn't have black friends racist if they disagree with them. There's something I've noticed in Seattle. It's a big fucking thing, and it annoys the hell out of me. I have like black people in my family. I've even had a black girlfriend. Whatever. I don't talk about it because I think it's stupid to do that. But I notice lefties like always like, "Oh, who do you know that's black?" And I'm like, I could tell you, but that's just ugh.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, so like that's something that they do then. Like that's something that's like
it's a thing.
Yeah, it's more like, it's funny because that's more of like something that like you would see, that I'd see like on like a TV show or something. It's like Canada's really multicultural, so like as soon as you get anywhere close to a city, there's just like 1,000 different types of people. So there's not like, it's like if you're from a city, it's like of course you have a black friend. It'd probably be weird if you had a white friend.
Exactly.
But in like a small country, it's like I was like one of like 5 black people at my high school, so it's like I don't know, but like I've always heard of that, like where like people are like, oh yeah, like yeah, I got a black friend, so like that means that like I can do whatever or say whatever, or, like just in general, like I'm more progressive because I have
so
a black
cool,
friend.
I'm so awesome, yeah.
But I haven't run into that too much. Like it's more so like the times that I've run into that, it's like more so people that want to be my friend, and like I guess like from like the black person's perspective, it's like it's just strange because it's like the person's idolizing you for no reason other than the fact that you're black, like a trait that you, like you said, can't help. You just were born this way.
No, I fucking hate to bring it up. I just thought.
Oh no, I think it's
stuff. Yeah.
So I'm down to talk about anything. Everything's on the table. But yeah, like from the black person's perspective, it's like it's fine. Well, it depends on if you like attention. Like I don't. It's not like I like attention, but like if you're gonna want to hang out with me because I'm not gonna be your friend though. That's the whole thing. Like I'm not gonna. Because I can actively see that you're not hanging out with me because you want to hang out with me. You're hanging out with me because I'm black, right? And that's the whole difference. So like you can do that once or twice, but if the person cares, if they have like personal integrity, it depends on the situation. What, like you're like a millionaire and you're flying me around and you hang out with me because I'm black, it's like, I might stick around, but like in the same sense, like it still might not, depending on like if you're just a dick the whole time. The only time you want to hang out or talk to me is when people are around. I'd be like, fuck you, man. That's an extreme case, obviously.
Oh yeah, that's fucking hilarious too.
Right? There'd be a movie about that.
No, I'm just saying because I noticed like this certain attitude of people here in Seattle, like they really. I've always tried to stay away from it, but they have this attitude like they have this want to brag about knowing a black person, or like, they'll ask like me like, what, do you know any black people? What do you know? It's like I actually have a lot of half black people in my family, like my cousins. I have a lot of half black cousins in my family, but I never talk about that because I don't feel like I want to be that liberal douchebag that does that. But I just noticed there's a lot of people here on the left, here in the Seattle, that they make a point of it. I'm like, I won't bring it up to them. Like, I could just bring up a whole thing, but I don't, because that's like, why? And that's what pisses me off about the left calling the right. The right has their own problems. They're douchebag, racist too, whatever. But making a point of being so, virtuous, being this lefty, whatever, progressive,
they
whatever.
think that they're so much better than everybody that they in turn end up becoming the racist they are trying to fight. Like
exactly.
That in turn is like just like it's just a racist act to act as though this person is better or worse or anything they should just be that you're treating them like you're just objectifying the person because of their skin color. Which in
exactly,
turn could be,
I can't stand that.
Yeah, it could be viewed as racist, or it could be viewed as it could be racist or gracious, right? Like it could either be like they're proud and happy, but in the same sense, it's like, why is a black person a thing? Like, why is that like not just like a regular human being to you? Why do you have to differentiate the two? So like it's like there clearly is more of a racial bias in your mind than the person that actually just doesn't care that person's black. It's like, right, he's just another one of my friends. He's not. It doesn't matter that he's black. That doesn't make what we're doing any better or worse. He's just as good as his Tom, and like his name's John and Tom. He's just as good as Tom. They're both my friends. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, exactly. And like my black cousins I grew up with, or half black, whatever you want to, doesn't matter. I grew up with, we're all pretty talented musicians, and like every family reunion we just rock out and play music together. We don't give a fuck. And like it just annoys me that it gets made a racial issue, especially in my 30s. Like, it's one thing if you're like a confused teenager, it's like, oh, Do I not say that or that? It's another thing if you're in your 30s and people are still giving you crap. Are like, dude, I get this. I know all the different racial slurs. Just I don't care. I just want to like, these are human beings. This is my family. Can you just like fucking lay the fuck off of this shit? This is stupid.
Yeah, it's strange. It's definitely like foreign to the experience that I've had here in Canada. It's more of something that like I've seen definitely like portrayed in movies and stuff like that. Like just like that wanting a black friend, and like it's not that like, you know, I've had lots of friends in my day, but not, I don't think too many of them were specifically because I was black. There's a dude that you know, he wanted to be a rapper. I'll rap around a little bit for fun here and there, but it's not serious. And Buddy was he was taking it serious, and I was like, yo, man. And you know, I think that the only reason that he wanted me there is because I was black. Because we don't really hang out too much anymore, and he doesn't do rap anymore either. Though I'm not into rap, but it's fun. I'll fuck around with whatever. I like music. I'm a musician for sure. Music's definitely been a passion of mine my whole life.
Oh, that's cool too. Like, and to be completely honest, if there's like some awkward white guy that wants to be your friend just because you're black, yeah, whatever, sure. Like,
I'd feel bad for him. I'd be like, hey, you're weird, man. Super weird. What's your deal?
I'd probably feel that same way too. But the point is, like, I've just people knowing nothing about me, assuming I've never even met a black person in my life, just assuming like because I don't ascribe to the hardcore left-wing aspect of things, like automatically just like labeling me like some sort of like, even though I was raised very left by my dad, like I was raised very left-wing by my dad, and people just assume I'm some sort of outright whatever because I don't agree with the totalitarianness of the left these days.
Yeah, it's just it's just people that are so quick to judge, and as well throw people into classifications, because identity politics have become super popular, and it doesn't even make sense. It's like it's just lumping people into general classifications and being like, yeah, well, because you have these qualifications, you must be like this. And it's like, that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. We're individual people. If we were not individual people, sure, you could just say all black people are like this, this, and this, and all white people are like this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And therefore they need this, this, and this, and these guys need this, this, and this, and we should do things this way and this way differently for each different race, where it's like, you have no clue what the factors were in that person's life, and that could play a much larger issue than the fact that they were born black or Asian or white.
I know these labels kind of take away from the individuality of the person, which is just like, you don't know them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all moving us closer and closer towards like a globalized economy where everything is all just, you know, it's collective. We're all thrown into groups and classifications, and there's one government that rules the world.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately, like, I don't know, like that's like the complete opposite of like basically the goal of a lot of people, but it seems to be like the main goal of a lot of major governments.
That does seem to be, well, yeah, the whole homogenous one world government, I guess. What do you think of that whole thing of the idea of a ruling elite trying to homogenize this all into a one world government?
Well, I don't even think that like it's necessarily, or like would necessarily be like a ruling elite. I'm sure that there's like people that we don't know that, you know, have a lot of influence on things, that just living their lives. Some of them maybe are living their lives, some of them maybe are trying to influence different things. But like just like the major governments in general, I think want to move towards more of like more of like an open bordered policy where like you could travel throughout the world and move, like intermingle however you'd like. And you know, like I don't know. I feel as though just in general that seems to be the direction that a lot of things are going with, like just a lot of different things that I've seen in the media. And yeah, like the argument can be played like in both senses. It's like it could be good for people to have a one world government that controls most things, right? But like I don't know, it could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. Like I'm leaning more towards like the bad sense, but like, you know, I'm a pessimistic person. But
now actually that could be a topic that I could we could set for another discussion another time, but just to summarize it really quick, the one world government idea could maybe hypothetically work if people get along enough. However, the having different points of view of how governments can work can create a redundancy system where if one doesn't work, then the other one can fall back on that. So until humanity gets a better grasp on how we can have a one world government, it might be a good idea to have different ideas, different systems for that in case we need a fallback plan, in case one doesn't work very well. Just an idea.
I agree as well. Yeah.
That can go into a more deeper philosophical, like even lecture. But
yeah, it's a very serious one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could probably stick around for another like 20 minutes or so, but
okay,
it's getting a little late here.
All right, so like so it must be like 11 there, 11 going to 12.
Yeah, it's 10 to 12.
Okay. So you're in Canada.
Yeah.
How many times have you been to the U.S.?
I'd say only like 3 times. Yeah.
Right,
just like small trips. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a contest. I've been to Vancouver about probably 7 times just because it's so close to Seattle, and it's like because they had the lower drinking age and all that. Me and my buddies, like after high school, were like, hey, let's go to Canada.
Yeah, it'd be a cool trip, especially like before we needed passports. You could just drive across with your ID. And,
yeah, they raised the standards for that. They did that to us here. Like, we had to have full-fledged passports and everything too. Yeah, after the whole 9/11 thing. I guess like one of the things you might have noticed on my page. You ever look at the sky and see the planes spraying stuff out of them?
Yeah. You know, like this little thing.
That could be a separate thing. We don't have to talk about it. It's all good.
No, it's a great thing to talk about. I think that like it's conspiracies in general, right? It's because of the way that they're labeled. So it's like it's labeled right away. It's like, oh, chemtrails. So you're getting into some conspiracy shit there. But it's like, you know, the mainstream weather channel, fucking other weather fucking goddamn sites and shit will go. They'll tell you. You know, things are being introduced into the atmosphere, as well as the fact that there's absolutely no law about things being dumped into the atmosphere, which is that's fucked up. But like, there are things that are happening that we just don't understand, and I find them interesting. Certain things like, you know, chemtrails are something that I feel like, you know, is happening. but
now,
why and where?
Now, okay, I will tell you, do all your own research. I was born in 1981, and I will tell you this: the skies were never, ever whited out until the late 90s, ever. Every once in a while, like once a month, we'd have one extended, what you might call condensation trail, and it was so rare, and I always looked up at the sky, and it was just like a rare thing. It just was not a phenomenon you saw. Like today, like especially the past 2 years, I've actually been filming it, and I have a few of the videos up on my site. The skies will be whited out, and none of those things are real clouds. They all came out of jet planes. I'm just saying, this is like, never saw this as a child, ever. And all of a sudden, like, especially the past 2 years, the sky will be like supposed to be clear blue, but it's whited out with this stuff that came out of the back of airplanes. I'm just saying, something worth looking at. Whatever.
I trust you on that. No, like, it's a situation where it's like, I remember when I was a kid looking up and seeing jets and planes emitting a white strip of fucking cloud shit behind them. But I always remember it not lasting for long and being like, oh, I wish that it would just last and look like a giant like jet stream coming out the back. It'd be super cool. But it never did. Now look at what's good. Like, look at what's going on. It stays
for hours.
Yeah, it's just like, you just strips and strips and strips. Like, there's no plane, there's just a strip. Like, and you can see the plane when it did go by, but, like, it stays and stays. And, like, it's one of those things. It is completely different. But the question that I have is, like, why? What the fuck are they doing if they're doing something? And as well, like, you got to understand that, like, it's local. That would be localized, right? So it's like the sky that you're seeing is, like, sure, it's like technically the same sky, but like the planes that are flying by and blocking out the sun, if that's what they're doing for you, they're not blocking out the sun for me here in Ontario. So like they would all be localized if they were like doing something to the people or something like that. So it's like, what is it? Like I understand that something is going on, but the question is what? And I'm still into it though. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, I love doing Inquisit and try to figure stuff out.
Now, I have a bunch of friends throughout this country, even across the world. Like, they see this happen. This goes on throughout the South. This goes on in California. I have a brother in California. I have a brother in Maine. This goes along all around the world, and I mean, there's multiple reasons that it could be. One, I'm pretty damn sure could be some sort of weather modification. Another one could be supercharging the atmosphere. Other than that, I can't name everything because I'm not doing that. I can only speculate. Otherwise, I just sound like a crazy person. But they're doing something that did not happen when I was a kid. I swear to God, I did not see this crap going on when I was a kid. This is something really different going on, and more people that used to come like crazy are starting to like be like, oh, they are straight. I do see the stuff in the sky that wasn't there before, especially the past 2 years here in Seattle.
Yeah, one theory that I've heard is that like they're creating somewhat of like a type of atmosphere because something within our atmosphere is depleting. So like the UV rays coming in, basically, like, you know, they come in through the clouds and they bounce out.
Yeah.
But apparently they were like heading back out too quickly or something. But like, you know, I'm not a scientist. I don't know, and that's why it gets like really confusing, because like, if you don't understand the science behind it, you just need to take people's words for it. So that's the whole thing. You just got to find somebody that you trust the opinion of and listen to what they have to say. Somebody that does understand the science, right? Like same with like crazy stuff that has to do with math. Like, the average person, they need to find a mathematician that they trust and listen to what they have to say.
And actually, that's a good point. And I really have actually been trying to do that more. Speaking of math, do you have a take on, I don't know, do they have Common Core in Canada?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
What do you mean? What do you mean Common Core?
Okay, so in the United States, there's been this whole thing where they want to have this thing they call Common Core, which standard. Well, it's been going on for a long time and different names. They have standardized education where every child has to have this trained way of doing math or linguistics or whatever to be in this hybridized or homogenized way of thinking. I'm not sure if they have Canada. They have standardized education there.
Yeah, I believe so. So we all, like the curriculum and stuff. We all learn the same curriculum throughout Canada in public school and stuff. Then when you get into high school, there's just 3 different levels of education, basically, that you could take basically like applied, intermediate, and advanced or something, and it's all the same curriculum. It's just how in depth they get with each course, basically.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's it's I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. It's called there's just a basic one, and then there's applied, and then there's advanced. So if you are planning on going to college, they recommend you take applied courses, and if you're planning on going to university, advanced, and then if you're not planning on going to college or just planning to go into the workforce, they recommend then just the regular whatever one. And but it's all the same curriculum. It's just how in depth they get to the course, or in depth they go into the courses.
So how easy is it to purchase a firearm in Canada?
It's super easy. To purchase one, it's super easy, but that's the whole thing. That's what's different about the Canada, the United States. Yeah, I have a completely different mindset around it because we'll put it into perspective for me as somebody had said something and then I responded with what I had just assumed was a normal statement, but I had said gun restrictions or something about gun restrictions or whatever, and they were just talking about gun rights, and it's gun access is restricted here in Canada. So if you want to own a gun, then you need to take a firearm license course. So you just go sign up.
Course, yeah,
you just go sign up for one, and it'd be somewhere around in town or wherever, and it's usually a 3-day course that they'll do over a weekend, and then they teach you safety and how to use the gun, just everything about it, all the different parts, and just standard safety, and what you should and shouldn't do, and then you can go and purchase a rifle, but to get a handgun.
What about a handgun?
Yeah, I was gonna say a handgun's a little bit more. So to get a handgun, you'd have to go through a separate restricted licensed course, and then it's just another 3-day course or something. But the thing is that the laws around having a handgun are pretty strict. So you can conceal it, but I don't the only time that you can have it out, the only time that you can have your gun on you, you can't just walk around and have your gun concealed on you in the store. You can have your gun on you, I believe, to take it from your house to the range and stuff, and back and forth. And when you have a handgun, I believe in certain places you need to call the police station before you leave your house, let them know where you're going and that you're going to have that type of firearm, and that how long you're going to be and everything, and blah blah blah, and then you can go. But rifles and shotguns and stuff, that's all just a regular gun license. But handguns, it's a little different, and there's really no conceal and carry, I don't really believe. I haven't looked into it too much. I'm not a huge gun dude. I've shot guns a few times, but I don't have my gun license, which I regret. I'm gonna get it soon. I just haven't had a real reason. I don't, it's not a looming threat here in Canada. It's like there's a difference. I don't walk around. I walk around actively knowing that the person that I'm interacting with, the random person on the street, does not have a gun. I know that they don't have a gun on them. Like, nobody has a gun. It's like I'm not walking around fearful of the fact that people have guns. So like, I don't need one for protection in that sense. The only thing that I'd need one for would be hunting, and then, you know, self-protection against a tyrannical government, if that ever was the case. But like, you know, let's hope not.
Oh, fair enough. I was just wasn't too familiar with the general provincial gun laws of Canada. It varies state from state. Here in the United States, it's so different from every state. Here in Washington, where I am, it's pretty much like you can get whatever you want. Which is funny because Washington State is very liberal, lefty. However, when it comes to gun laws, it's kind of like anything goes to an extent. It's an interesting paradox here with the liberals here in Washington State. It's like you have one half of the state that's like, all right, guns, let's do it. And the other half of the state is like, no. We gotta have all these things like 51 genders, make sure no one gay marriage, and no one gets offended. However, you can have guns. It's all good. It's an interesting amalgamation here. Just saying.
Yeah, I find that strange. It's a strange like paradox. Like, yeah, we're all pro-gun, but as well, we don't understand general biology.
Yeah, I mean, Washington State is a bit of an exception. Like California is very much anti-gun. I know you've seen the videos of the Antifa and the people down by Berkeley College, which I've been to. I've been to that college a few times, where they just burn it down when the Milo Yiannopoulos goes there. Like, yep, let's burn it down. A gay guy who isn't lefty, let's burn it down.
Yeah, no, like that was like the beginning of the end for Antifa for sure, and their end is still ongoing. But it's like, when you're going to be displaying those types of actions, then you're going to show the world that your organization or the people that you're trying to represent don't have good intentions in mind. It's like, yeah, destroy the corporations. Like you're destroying. Yeah, I don't know. It's the whole physical violence and like the destruction of property. You know, I understand they're against capitalism, so that's why they justify themselves with destroying property. But this is why we live in a civilized society, and this is why we have a police force. It's to shut down people like that. Like, I don't believe that they should be stopped from voicing their opinions. But when it comes to the destruction of property, you may not like capitalism, but if you're not going to act within the legal boundaries of what we've set up, then there are ramifications for what you've chosen to display, like your actions. You're going to be punished.
And I think I saw one of your videos. It was either the Antifa or the feminist, but like there's this video where it's like you're backing away from the screen with like this look on your face, like, what? And it was hilarious. Like your reaction for the video was like, whoa. You should do more of those. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm often pretty mellow.
Like, what? It's like, whoa! I didn't sign up for this. I'm backing up the screen about 40 feet. What?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I laughed my ass off when I saw that.
Yeah, like I'm only like, I don't know, I'd say like well, I don't know. It depends. Like, I'm sure you understand. Like, going into a city, it depends on like how traffic is and stuff, and blah blah blah. Like,
yeah.
Only between like an hour and a half away from like the core of Toronto. So like, I just like haven't I haven't been out to any of these protests to actively like document any people so far, but I congratulate the people that do interact with the individuals at these protests, because it must be just so hard to keep your composure when you're trying to discuss anything with these screaming buffoons. Like, and that's the whole thing. I don't like attacking people. I don't like, especially if I'm trying to like have a discussion on like a certain point. Like, I get super heated when I get into like debates and arguments, just because like I enjoy it. I like discussing things with people, and it's like I'm not angry. Like, I may sound a little angry, but like I'm not angry with you or anything. I'm just like arguing the point, and like, you know, you want a hug? Here, let's hug it out. But like, I'm not worried about it. But like, I don't know. I feel like I would get really frustrated, because I'm coming from a very genuine place where I want to have a discussion, and these people that's not what they want. And like I said in one of my videos, like, you could have caught me at any one of those protests holding a sign, and at the time, like back in the day, you could have caught me at any one of those protests holding a sign, and like I probably wouldn't have had any idea about what the cause was that I would have been fighting for. But if I was there now, today, and even back then, I would have engaged in conversation, and I would have just had to admit that I didn't understand what I was talking about. But if I was there today, like, I would know what I was there fighting for, and I would have arguments, and I would want to engage with people and change their minds. That's why you're there. You're supposed to be informing people about what's going on. Like, tell me what's going on. Even if you are a troll, like, that's the whole thing that I say. Like, it doesn't matter who the person is. Like, make them question themselves. Like, Jesus, just talk to people. I want to know what your point is. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, how am I supposed to become a socialist if the socialist can't even tell me what fucking socialism is?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
What if I want to join Antifa? Like, what if I want to be a communist? Come on, help me out here.
I know. What is your selling point? Please inspire me to join your group. What are you gonna do?
And that's the danger. That's the dangerous thing, man. Because like, going back to the whole like Trump election thing, it drove me to realize that like, especially at that point, the only people that were willing to talk were people that were considered racist, or like either racist, just like racist.
Dude.
And it's like, yo, if the only people that are willing to talk are racist, people are gonna become radicalized, and people are going to become stuck in these ideologies, because they're the only people that are willing to engage with anybody.
Dude, you bring up a very good point with that, and that's like, okay, what the fuck is okay? So the people that you're labeling racist are the people, okay, certain people on the left labeling racist, like, are the ones that are most open to ecumenical dialogue, to talk to people that aren't pure white blood, whatever. And they're the ones being open to talk about this? Like, what does that say about what's going on the left if the people on the supposed racist right are the ones like, you're welcome here, please talk to us? Right? And what the fuck?
And that's the whole thing. Like, that's what I say. Like, I don't care if you're racist. I don't care who you are or like what you are. What you have to say is what you have to say. Like, if you're bringing me valid points, like, you could hate black people down to the very core of your existence, their existence, whatever. And if you're saying facts and something that's true, how can you deny that? Just because you don't like you don't like the way the person thinks or the other things that they believe in, then like you're gonna deny what they're saying about this that's true? Just
right.
Like, you know, like, you may not agree with the person that it's coming from, but if it's true and if it's factual information, then it has a purpose and it's valid. So like, I wouldn't ever say like give negative people credit or anything, but understand that there's value to be taken in anything. So like, it's like the whole argument with like race and IQ. Sure. Statistically, in certain areas, black people may have, on average, a lower IQ than a statistical group of white people from a separate area. But that doesn't mean that a black person from that first group couldn't be smarter or just as smart as a white person taken from that second group. It's just on average. Right? And there's many more factors than just the point that just like the fact that they're black and they're white. And so like
you might have to factor in modern day literacy of whatever particular language was.
There's like 1,000 different factors.
There's a bunch of other factors to put in there. Yeah.
But when you shut down the argument because you don't feel as though it's valid, because the person that's arguing for it may, a lot of people that do have this argument are white nationalists or people that would fall along more of like a general, they may not necessarily be racist, but they have a lot higher racial bias than the average person. And that's not saying every white nationalist is like that, but
let me reconnect this.
Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? Sorry that I got cut off.
Oh, it's all good, man. Yeah. I was thinking we should probably wrap it up here soon anyways.
Yeah, we've been wrapping for a while. It's probably pretty late in your quarter.
Yeah, we can always get together again soon. It would be cool to have like a whole conspiracy discussion.